Okay, so this is a complete Peter H. Blake hack that he's always well. Surprisingly, you guys and girls, he's always telling me to turn my volume down, and even right now with my volume down. But with the Big Brother band on stage down here at Ferg's, the feeling in the air. I have no idea what that smoke is all about. Maybe that's like just a party miss. That's the St. Petersburg Grand Prix that's happening this weekend, and just love the vibes you get down here. I come down here every year, even before I was doing shows on Friday nights, or I've actually done a couple right from down here on Sunday mornings, coming down here when the cars go back out on the track. If anybody at all, I see people jumping in. Can you tell me how does it sound? Can you understand what I'm saying? Because I want to talk about St. Petersburg because we're on the world stage this weekend. As you got all your visitors in town for the IndyCar, which is a world racing league. But I also want to talk about Baker Mayfield, and I want to talk about contracts, and I want to talk about the fact that Mike signs Mike, and I posted it on my Facebook page, and I'm sure you all guys and girls probably not on my Facebook page because why would you be honestly following my Facebook? Hey, Ray Christopher. Okay, Christopher, so how do I sound? Can you at least understand what I'm saying? In fact, let's have a conversation. I'll actually say this. It took me a minute to get set up out here because it's just a happening night here on Friday night down here at the world-famous Ferg Sports Bar and Grill down here on Central Avenue, just below 16th Street in the Edge District of St. Petersburg. Oh, man, I did nail it that time. Christopher, how's it sound? So I remember, we're talking about 1985, right? The first year, and I posted some pictures again a couple of weeks ago. I did a little impromptu couple Ray. Christopher, you're my freaking Ralph Williams first, though. Hey, Ray. Hey, Ralph. Christopher, Ralph. Baker Mayfield. He wants a lot of money. He's being like the Wicked Witch of the North and wants $80 million a year. And him and Deshaun are getting happy endings over at a Houston hotel. It's like they want to make him out to be the bad guy. But Mike Evans just re-signed, and Mike wanted to come play with that dog. And then Mike, when he's checking in today, and he goes over and does what he does, Mike Evans, who's been basically, yeah, I mean, Levante's been on the team longest, but let's be honest. Jason Light drafts Mike Evans in 2014, and Mike Evans has pretty much been, and I always say he's not a vocal leader in the locker room, but Mike Evans is. He's that leader of this entire team. The Vita Vea and Tristan Wirfs and the dogs we bring in, and the greatest of all time. But so enough about Mike Evans. But and Mike says today, of course I want to play with Baker. He's an elite quarterback, and Baker, he doesn't go number one. We always it was. Let me get this right though, because only 3 times have quarterbacks gone 1, 2, 3, or twice. I'm sorry, once. Oh, I'm not going to get that. No, I'm going to get it. It was Jim Plunkett, Dan Pastorini, and Archie Manning. And that was 1971. Check it out. Somebody. Oh, boo. Call me on that one, but that's because I'm actually reading the Manning. But I'm not centered at all. Comments, please. Let's talk tonight, guys. Christopher says, sounds good. Christopher, again, I love you, brother. Thank you so much for always being there for me. Ralph Williams says, somebody will get desperate and pay Baker if Tampa don't. Right, Ralph, because door number 2 after 2015 and Jameis, and we drafted 1 overall, that's a thing. Just like you're going to see whoever trades Chicago to get up to the number 1 pick. I still think that, I mean, if Chicago is a franchise building. We can talk about anything y'all want to talk about here on Friday night, but if Justin Fields isn't your guy, there's Gardner Minshew, Tyrod Taylor. You've got how many quarterbacks? Mitch Trubisky. He's not going to go back to Chicago. But I'm saying that same photo as the Buccaneers and as the Bears are number 1 overall. Thank God. I think that because the Panthers get Bryce Young last year. Good comment made today, and I'm going to go ahead and see what Christopher says. Baker will get around $33 million a year. Yeah, and you know what? 30 to 35, Christopher. And like I said, is my voice hurting y'all, or y'all turn the volume down? So the other night when I was on with Peter Blake in the Sports Web, and at the end of this, it was funny because I was at the CVS. Long story. You have to go back and watch that show if you want to get the story. But I'm at the CVS, the lights go out, but I'm like, if Peter's question of the night was, what would your contract be? If you were Jason Light, what would your, the number be for Baker Mayfield? And everybody was calling in with some great, and that's what you get with the Sports Web and Peter Blake. Great banter, but great talking, but they have some great ideas. And I said, I went back in, and Peter Blake, my producer, my guy, I'm not checking out PHP Studios, do that. The thing is that Peter, It's so hard to get him to want to help me. He is so mad at me sometimes. I hope Sonny okay. I'm down here at the world famous Ferg Sports Bar and Grill down here in St. Petersburg, and you know what? Oh, I want to do this, Peter. You're gonna hate me, but I'm gonna say though. I mean, technically, letting me use your Facebook page, that is a privilege because you've got so many followers, and you're, of course, Peter is on a little bit higher of a level, not a whole lot. Look, don't give him too much credit. His head gets so big, but he's always like, you know what? Because he's got so much, and especially with the announcement of the Jake Paul and Mike Tyson fight, and I'm like Jake Paul and Peter and the Rolex, and what that. And here's the thing: I want to say this right now. I'm going to get this off my chest too. Since we're going to go ahead and do this. Oh, Tim Haynes, Tim popped in here. Tim said, Tim, maybe you might have just saved me from sticking my foot in my mouth. Tim says, good evening, Ray. Brother, good evening, Tim. Thanks for popping in. Corey Brown coming in. Brad Richard and Dave Andrechuk got in the NHL Hall of Fame tonight, and they had a celebration over there at the Amalie Arena. Thankfully, the Lightning weren't playing the Calgary Flames tonight, which that game is, but they play again tomorrow. But yeah, Dave Andrechuk and Brad Richard, just two dogs in the history of this, which is funny because I'm looking at this again. I go back to, it was 85, the first year of the races here, because don't forget, this is the 20th year of the IndyCar races for your St. Petersburg Grand Prix. But it goes back to 85, and they were just the city of St. Petersburg. Trust me, I was there. Sophomore in high school. God, I got to get with doing that because you guys do end up going, he is so old. Oh, you know what? Hold on a second. I forgot to share the show. Oh, you know what? I'll do this. This is what I was saying. I'm going to go ahead and thank you, Corey, for coming in here. That Peter's going to get mad at me for this. Because he's always like, you got to watch out, Ray. You know, we don't want to. Oh, Peter knows. Go. Oh, did he remove it? Oh, I'm using Peter's. Yeah, he removed it. Damn you, Peter. Okay. I don't have my. Wait. Yeah, my brand in here. But that's okay. Let's go back to the comments. It breaks my heart. I'll go ahead and post it on my Facebook page. 85 when they were trying to even see, because here's the thing, you had the Bayfront. It was the Bayfront Center and the waterfront down here at Straub Park, and where tonight's race party tonight and tomorrow, the 7:30, they have Bret Michaels from Poison playing. I mean, you know, it's an international crowd. You got, and I posted today. It's so great coming down here. I'm kind of glad though that it's not too crowded up here on this end. Oh, I know what I forgot to do. Oh. Going back to the Baker Mayfield thing is like, everyone knows, you guys, girls, you know that I've got the whole Kyle Trask thing, and I played that out, you know, continuing to play that narrative, because really at the end of the day, I'm just wanting to continue the narrative moving forward, no matter what we're talking about. But still thinking that this guy's a dog, and he's going to end up being a starter somewhere in the National Football League, if not here in Tampa Bay. But I always try to measure it with, okay, Kyle, because I talk about how when he was at Florida, I was like, this guy's a linebacker playing, and then I go back and look at the film and study him, and I'm like, well, Kadarius Toney and Kyle Pitts, and the fact that he came in here and he go back to Manville High behind Derek King, and then, of course, behind Philippi Franks at Florida, he's always been ready. So there's a value there. Of course, in the fourth year, the last year of Kyle Trask's rookie contract, and Misador, you're going to hate me for this, but the numbers went up, so, the numbers went down. They went, wait. Oh, wait, Ray's talking Kyle Trask again? No, what I'm saying, though, is that it's an interesting thing. Then you also mix it in with the fact that Baker came in here to want to, get the career going in the right direction, understanding the kind of dog that he is, understanding why, still trying to figure out why Cleveland bailed down on him, like why Kevin Stefanski gave up on Baker so fast. Really, no more comments? Okay, I know I should ask a question. No, Christopher, you already said, you said $33.5 million a year, right? $33 million a year. Corey Brown, you're still up in here. What are your thoughts as far as what are you willing to want to see the Buccaneers pay? And see, that puts, I'm posing that question. I'm kind of setting you up. I'm like, what are you willing to pay to keep Baker Mayfield? And you're like, well, wait a minute. Levante David, and of course, we just got Mike Evans and Antoine we franchised, and we're trying to get that. And you got Tristan Wirfs coming up and these other dogs. So, when you pose the question like that, like, what are you willing to? But at the end of the day, also, guys, girls, going back with the Buccaneers to, the 76, but how many years we searched for a leader for a team, a quarterback, somebody who made a difference in the room with the other 52, a leader of men. And it's funny because I just last weekend watched Napoleon on Apple TV. And, of course, Joaquin Phoenix did a pretty good job damn, my number still died. No more comments either. That's okay. You know what? Let me share this show. I got a few places I can share. Let me share it to my Tinder page, and then the views will go up. So give me a second here. So, but for how many years the Buccaneers? So kind of technically it is on my page, but I'm going to go to Peter's page, and I'm going to share that show that I created on Peter's page on my page. And this is the one just for Mom, so she can see it. So let's see. Let me just comment. Hey. Oh, wait. You know what? Happy International. If I can only spell international. Sorry. This is so bad. Hey, numbers went up. Women's Day. What a thing. And, of course, March. I want to go ahead and throw a proper shout out here. Because we were coming out to February, which was a fantastic Black History Month, and that means to us every year. And then we were going into March, and I'm like, I don't remember. You know, I got to do November, and there's like July when we're all just sweating down south. But I mean, I'm not sure what is March again. And then of course, I was reminded that very next week, and then now rolling into today's International Women's Day. But that March is the month of women. It's Women's Month, so we hashtag that. Oh, I just realized. I hope the band's not March. All right, so that's it. Happy Internationals. They're probably going to get no views, but that's okay. But so here's my thing. Oh, I'm put it right here. This really sucks because what happened was I was setting up over here. I was trying to find the right vibe before. Again, a Big Brother band down here rocking the stage. I know you can hear them right in back of me inside there on the party deck here at Ferg's Bar and Grill. And I'm glad I went there, so I got to get there. But somebody came over and they're like, what are you setting up for? I'm like, well, you know, I talk sports, and I hit the Cup of Ray. So he's like, you know, that title's a little sus. I'm like, yeah, it actually is, but, you know, it's me. And so he's like, cool, and he's asking about the tripod and stuff. They're on vacation down here for the Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, and he's asking about the tripod, and I'm like, you know, it put a little more pep in my step. I'm like, I'm setting up. I'm like, hey, you know, I've been doing shows down here with Peter Blake, and we were doing Buccaneer pregame, halftime, and postgame shows going back 17 years now, Peter, because every time I tell a story, it gets longer. And but now he's watching me. He's looking at my body language. He's like, yeah, the guy's like, you know, he's holding a beer while he's tweeting, and then he's updating his lot of fish page, like, you know, I'm still available. And he's like, yeah, I suddenly realized that show sucks. And you know what? He's actually right. But I want to go ahead. We'll talk about Baker. Oh, more comments. Thank you guys for doing that. You probably saved me. Christopher says, Light said if Baker doesn't come back, he said that Trask could be an option too. And I love that, Christopher, because that's how you play the game, right? Isn't that what Devin White was doing in the preseason? And then Mike Evans and his agent, like, you know, okay, we're done. We're not going to talk about it anymore. You know, we're not. And they're, you know, they're setting it up because that's the business side. That's the business side of this thing. And that's what this really, at the end of the day, is what this is. At the end of the day, a business. But, you know, he throws it out there. And at the end of the day, it's like, you got to, so many teams are searching for a leader every year, but the Buccaneers team, and the way Jason Lights built this team with a Mike Evans and with a Vita Vea and with a Tristan Wirfs, and let me keep going with a Levante David, who was here technically 2 years before Jason got here. Hope the band's not flooding me out. God, that's the one thing I love about this. As long as the show doesn't get copyrighted, I get to sing. I get to actually listen to these signs. Keep me. Love is gone, but don't feel like good. It's yeah. This you don't even want to know. You don't even want to know. Hey, God. So Big Brother band rocking it down here. If y'all want to talk about Baker, I want to talk about Baker, but I want to talk about St. Petersburg tonight. But I went way up. Baker Rayfield, Ben, man. I so wanted to get into the. I so wanted to get on Have At It the other night, and I don't know what it is, Ben. You know what? You guys are so good. I enjoy it so much that then I realize when I go in there, inevitably I just keep this big mouth running, and I take away from the goodness that is Have At It, and of course the Ben Zone. If you're not following Ben, thanks, brother, for Ben. You know what? Fuck you. Oh, Peter, I cussed on your Facebook page. Ben, what are your thoughts about Baker wants too much money, and Jason's like, you know what? We can bring back Popeye. He'll be like, it's Miss Bennett. Oh, that was a terrible Popeye. Hold on. I got to do it better. I can't do it. But I'm just saying, what are your thoughts? Ben Cornett from the Ben Zone, brother. I'd invite you into the show if you want to come in. But I wanted to cover this little thing, and I actually told my guy DJ Mad Allen back at Mac McTavish down here. We're now I'm Elmer Fudd. But I'm like, so Creative Loafing, I love you. I love you because you are the classiest, most respectable. You're keeping it real down here in the entire Tampa Bay area, which is why it's Creative Loafing Tampa Bay. And of course, you had the foresight to recognize me as your 2019 best local columnist over some dogs. But no, I was reading an article about the stadium just around the back of First, just across the street, just across First Avenue South, just across there where Tropicana Field is now and where the Rays' new stadium will be. And the story is that, here's the thing. I look like crap. I'm standing here. That's okay. There's a lot of smoke. You know what? It's fog. It's the humidity. It's the fog, which is what you get with a waterfront Grand Prix race, which is what you get with your St. Petersburg Grand Prix. I love the vibes down here. I'll be out here on Sunday morning. Actually, no, I won't, because Sunday morning I'm heading over to Disney with the kids and family, which is awesome. But I love coming out here, and I've come out here a few times. Thank God, another comment. Oh, God, I hope this is Ben. Okay, Ben. Baker Mayfield, $30 to $35 million a year for Baker should do him in the Bucs. Light is right. He's going to have to strain a bit to get Mayfield re-signed. And Ben, I think you probably agree with me that that's the business. Baker's team does this, and Baker's team wants $173 million a year, and Light comes back and says $17 and a bucket of KFC on every other alternating Fridays. So, we understand how the negotiations work, but at the end of the day, Ben, okay, you said 30 to 35 million. Because there's going to be some other teams that are like, wait, we understand how hard it is to find a leader. You drafted Josh Rosen, you draft a Mitch Trubisky, but you draft these quarterbacks. You draft these top of the draft, all these quarterbacks looking for a leader for your team. So they know how hard it is. And then you got a guy like Baker, and I can't believe I'm making a Baker argument. I'm usually so anti-Baker. I'm never Bake. I'm kidding. Bake. But I'm like, how hard it is to find a leader for the team, because at the end of the day, it's about inspiring the other 52, right, in the locker room. And at the same time, though, we understand that in Light we trust, which is probably what it all comes down to, which is probably I can never. Thank you, Ben. 30 to 35 million. And again, I think I already said it this show, but I have power, so it doesn't have to end, and I hope that I'm not going to get thrown off. Pete, did you really take my showrunner on in here? You did, you rat. He is such a great producer. Gets rid of the X's. Yeah. Darn it. Well, plus he's got, J.P. Peterson, which I don't know if y'all remember or if it's been announced yet, but I am always allowed to call in, too. I'm kidding. Love. Just one of my... it's funny is because it's just because I'm a busy guy anyway. Got a few luxuries in life, and I'm going to do shout-outs right now. Pardon my take. Big Cat, PFT, The Gang. I listened to Diane Rossini's in Art of You. Of course, Diane Rossini with The Athletic, but I love that. I'm a little behind, and I'm like flexing back into Combine or back to Super Bowl, and then I'm working my way forward. But love that. Love the Chris Mathis podcast, and of course the big news yesterday that Ronnie and T-Kraz, and this is such a great announcement. I'll go ahead and do a shout out here because, let me make sure I don't have any comments. I got to keep talking so I don't get a trademark, because Big Brother Band sounds really good. Is that my boy, City Young? Yes! What's up, Ray? You know what? It's a Friday night. I can't sit center, but just wondering what you guys and girls think, because that's the thing is that I am so on the fence with this entire thing. You guys and girls, I mean, I keep looking at, there's like 72 free agent quarterbacks, and I don't buy the Kirk Cousins jazz. Listening to a good podcast on The Athletic also, but it's coaches McVay, LaFleur, McDaniel, and of course, help me out here, the fourth. Oh, but it's a great podcast. But talking about don't go there, because I just lost my train of thought. But yeah, once you're up there, you're like clown on a wire. It's hard to get that thing back. But you know what? My question though is it the worrying about Jason Light having the money in the future to continue to build the kind of team that you see him building? which is the kind of team he had when we brought Jameis here, but he brought. But it's so much that because I love you too much, man. Wait, we're caught in a trap. This show can't get any worse. I can't walk out. Do 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 do. Because I love you too much, baby. Little stray cat down here. Okay. Oh, train of thought. Okay, let me get back to this. This is why I have such problem here. When Creative Loafing wrote that article about the fact that Fergs was the only business out here to benefit from having the Rays here for the last 20 years, and I'm like, okay, first of all, I go back to Fergs when he bought the filling station. It was a single little filling station, a little one-room little shack. But that was after Coach originally owned Hot Corner Pizza, which is on the very corner of 16th and 1st Avenue South. So you all know about that. And the thing I've loved, and I know like everybody's like, oh, no, we all read that article. No. And I'm not putting down Creative Loafing because, again, they were smart enough to pick this guy. This turned into a Ray commercial. But the thing is that when I go back to 19, it turned into a Rays. I should have shared this to Ray's Life. What the heck? I haven't shared it to nobody. Hold on. That's the problem. Happy birthday, Debbie. It's not even on my Facebook. Oh, it is my Facebook page. Let me go back to Peter's page. Well, Peter was supposed to share it. Wait. Love you too much, baby. If it gets trademarked for my crappy singing. Okay. Because my everyone is different from his everyone, right? Technically. And watch this. I'm going to watch this. The numbers are going to climb. I just realized it's like a Friday night coming to the end of it. It's the time changes this weekend. The clocks we're going to lose an hour with the time jump. So you guys are like, I have absolutely positively no patience for that asshole on a Friday night. But I'm like, hold on a minute. Who else can we share it to? Oh, Swifties? No, share it to Swifties. All right. Let's see if this brings up. You know what? Share. The Fox Live. Should have been there in the first place. I wasn't there. I'm sure Peter did anyway. Okay. So, as I've watched the city, I'm going to jump into something that some of y'all, I see the numbers jumping. You're going to be tuning in. You're like, what the? So, yes, Cynthia's comment. Come in. What are your guys and girls' thoughts as far as, I'm not doing the low-hanging fruit. Yes, I am. Okay, let me work it back. This highlight is so good, and it's my 17th. The announcement day before yesterday, of course, I get it through again, Chris Mathis podcast, but I saw Chris Mathis, who I follow on like every social, to the point where he probably thinks at this point I am literally a stalker. Chris, I'm not. And we're going to do that show real soon. But the announcement, of course, we hear the announcement that T-Kraz is taking over that 3 to 7 show, or the 3 to 6 show, but 7 show, like 3 to 7. But then as it's going to feed into now, as Ronnie Night Train Lane is going to be moving, which we love because we've actually I love having Ronnie and Pat Donovan covering the Buccaneers, doing their pre and post game show, and of course Tom's been doing it double duty. They must have Krasnicki like in a bunker at home beneath Earth. He's got the one house in Florida where you can dig a cellar and it doesn't fill up with water, and he's doing a post game show. But he'll be taking over that show entirely, and of course Ronnie's going to be taking over more of those duties for the baseball. The one common denominator that stays, though, is, of course, Chris Mathis stays the executive producer of that Tom Krasnicki show now in the evenings. I got one suggestion, Chris. I'm going to throw it out there anyway because you guys and girls know I talk from the hip. Oh, Christopher. Share it to my feed. Thank you. Take more calls, guys. I understand. I'm like, because of radio, sociology, psychology, what works best. And you guys are locking it down. Mike Momola, John Momola. I don't even know anymore. Momola's locking it down with the moves that they made, going back and shaking things up a little and setting these lineups and putting these dogs in the places they have them. J and Z, Pat and Aaron in the mornings. And, of course, Ronnie covering the games. Pat covering his end with the Bucks on the Buccaneer radio. God, it turned into a WDAE commercial, but the numbers like it, so I'm going to stay with it. Take more calls. Let's at least try it because – first of all, I love the video drops, Tom. Love that. I can only guess where that came from. Not that you don't know dog. You are a dog. Love you, bro. God, I can't believe I'm saying I love Krasnicki. A year ago, I would have said Love what he does, but love it. Not gonna make any friends with this broadcast tonight, but take more calls. And I understand segment it and take them short. You don't have to be rude. I mean, you can be rude because that's maybe part of a shtick or part of you, which is awesome. But just go into a call where every caller gets 30 seconds to make an argument and take a call, let them do a job, and then you can dismiss them. You can drop a Krasnicki on them, which is what I call the comments that Tom drops the end of whatever, a take or a comment, or just dismiss it. You and Chris can laugh about it, or you can laugh about it, but take more calls. I can't believe I'm doing this because this was all part of the plans for my show and I'm giving them all away. But no, take more calls because we love the takes. Love you guys always getting the great interviews, getting the right people to come on. Just that's the reason why you're the number one radio, the sports radio in the Tampa Bay area. Didn't hear a whole lot on the Grand Prix this week. Did hear a little bit, but I'll be honest. I'm listening at the top of the hours when we got to hit those benchmarks. The Bucks, Rays are training. The Lightning are playing. This is that weird time of year. Have I got any more comments? Oh, yeah. Tim. Took you a minute. Baker's making a big mistake if he leaves Tampa. That's the first person Tim, you're the first person I've said seen that, and I believe you are correct, sir. He has seen him enough of the bad side of this league. Yeah, and you know what? That's probably part of the culture you get here with the Buccaneers and with Jason Light as your general manager is that I don't want to say warm and fuzzies, but a consistency. It's like this is where we're at. This is us, this is us, this is us. Gerald McCoy and Dominic Sue, door number 2. We just move along. Never disrespectfully. You don't see the bugs in the shower. I mean, is that a big thing, guys? You're making, 18, 19, $20 million a year. There's some bugs in the shower. Hey, I'm making like $53,000 a year, and I got shitloads of bugs in my shower. I'm kidding. But, I'm just kidding with that. I love the NFLPA. I love that. I love the questionnaire. I love how it's because now that the Wonderlick's going away, and of course with CJ Stroud, no one's ever going to trust another test they give at the NFL Combine. Although I still think the NFL's working to make that a little bit better. But I forgot it. Somebody help me out here with the NFLPA. Give it a test. Somebody help me out. Come on. This is a test. I'm going to stay here. I'm going to sip my beer and listen to Big Brother Band. Although I'll keep talking so I don't get trademarked because they sound that good. I'll get the thought back watch. This is that is fog. It's crazy, right? I hope. Hey, can somebody at least tell me how the shot is? I see y'all watching. Y'all watch and don't want to say anything. That's kind of sus. Got some people walking by having a great night. Friday night here down at the world famous Ferg Sports Bar and Grill down here on Central Avenue. What? Central Avenue, just below 16th Street in the Edge District of St. Petersburg. Walking the dog. Okay, let me get it back. NFLPA, the Wonderlic test. I'm going to get it. Testing. IQ testing? It was draft take, but it wasn't. I know I was talking about CJ Stroud. Oh. Go back to Tim's comment. That might help me. Baker's making a big mistake if he leaves Tampa. He has seen enough of the bad side of this league. Okay, and then I went to Tampa Bay warm and fuzzies. Oh, God. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and, since y'all ain't asking too many questions, I'm going to keep the comments, so I'm going to keep down here. It was a Friday night where we had a few call-outs there, and I never blame the we had some real dogs, but it was a rough Friday night, and we were a little bit understaffed. So, I mean, and the humidity's up. That's what's weird is I'm down here. I can't tell you how natural this feels. The feeling right now, the humidity feeling, it feels like I'm literally down in the French Quarter, like on Bourbon Street, out in front of the in the red light district or the Hustler Club. Which remember when that used to be a thing? Kyle, me. Made my night that you're in here. Kyle Trask is the answer. Ray swears that Kyle Trask walks on water. You know what? Not. And that's the thing, me. I thought about you. You're the first person I even messaged you today, but the first thought I had is because, and Jason Light's using what he has to, right, to negotiate. He's like, hey, Baker, we want you, but if you don't want to be here, I mean, we could let Pee Wee Herman be the quarterback, and technically with Rashad White and this offensive line, which we're obviously going to draft a center because Hainsey's not doing it. Although I guess I'm not seeing something. I wanted to have this J.C. Allen of Sports Illustrated covering your Buccaneers, just an old friend. We talked tonight, but I kind of threw it at him. Oh God! So Tim agrees with me. He does. Yeah. Okay. You know what? This is fun. This is racing. This is getting me a little worked up, guys. I mean in a good way. Oh, I am so buzzed. Me, I love it. Because the thing is that I don't think the Buccaneers want to even think. They want the world to think. But you want to get Baker on a deal that continues to stay friendly moving forward. Half of these quarterbacks contracts with Deshaun Watson getting $275 gazillion, and like Cleveland had to train 73 draft picks to the Texans, which the Texans used that to build a pretty great team. How are y'all? Hey, good evening. Pretty great team. So they did that right. But drafting a quarterback like that, but then you get a dog comes along like a Baker Mayfield, and you kind of like this kid already. I think the rest of the NFL did. It's why he went number 1 overall in 2018. Hey everybody, happy Friday. Oh, they're over there. So that's a dog, and you don't want that dog to get outside, right? But at the same time, you do know that there's a Pittsburgh. Or if Fields wasn't in Chicago. Yeah, my wife. He said as he's FaceTime my wife. Yeah, that's because you just realized the way she looked at me, you don't got a chance. I hope he's not married. He's going to watch this show and come back. I get him down here at the world-famous Ferg Sports Bar and Grill down here on Central Avenue, just below 16th Street in the Edge District of St. Petersburg. You don't want a dog like that to get outside the door. But you also realize that every $1 million or everything that Jason Light can save to try to get Baker Mayfield to stay here. I didn't like the narrative this week when I started doing a little bit of it. And me, agree with me here. I did a little bit of a deeper dive on the whole Baker Mayfield thing. And I'm like, okay, I don't know what that's all about with the whole he lost $12 million. Was he buying Bitcoin from Tom Brady and Giselle? I'm kidding. I don't know. But I'm just saying he lost some money with some investments, which happens. Which, he's got a heart, big heart. So maybe he went with somebody or did some things and he got so that, or the fact that he came here for a $4 million, which turned into $8 million on a prove it contract. So we got to give him the world. It's like, we don't like that narrative either. And I don't think that's coming from I don't think that's coming from Baker's camp. I think Baker's camp, they're smart enough to realize, look, you're a dog. They want you as a dog because they need a dog, and we can make this happen. But then it's the entire, because if it bleeds, it leads. And that brings me back to the entire Creative Loafing article about Ferg's being the only place that benefited from having the Rays here in St. Petersburg. And I get it. Clickbait. Get the views. Say something that runs. If it bleeds, it leads. And if it reads well, good. I was a award-winning columnist 2019 from you guys, Creative Loafing. Again, shout out, love. I've got major Ron Act. That's got me laid so many times. It has absolutely, not even with my wife. Love you. She doesn't have Facebook, but she has YouTube. I'm kidding. But it's so hard because with fantasy football, there is no offseason. The USFL, the XFL, it's going to now be the USXXFL, and he hate me as the commissioner. All these things, that's just sports, right? March Madness around the corner. Again, the Rays are starting up. They're playing down in Port Charlotte. They're playing against these teams, waiting to see what the Rays look like in 2024. The Lightning, it's always the Step Kids, but they're always like, they're the biggest. Vitnik puts 20,000 in there. Yeah, that's a great. And it's funny because I go back to a time when it was like hockey in Florida. People go to Florida to avoid the snow and the ice. Guys, this is not good. I'm just riffing and nobody's commenting. It's a weird Friday night, maybe. I'll stay with it because you never know when something good's going to happen. And I've been sitting here holding the beer the entire time. I am a PSA for when you guys get up in the morning and you're reading the top, the page 6 there in the New York Post, and it's like sports video vlogcaster, Ray Kennedy, Cup of Ray, picked up on, DUI charges. I'm terrible. That would be terrible. It's not going to happen, but I can't believe I just said that. But come on, comment. Me, you didn't even tell me about. You didn't tell me about. I know you made a Kyle Trask comment, but what do you think about Baker Mayfield? No, it's 3 hours different, so it's only 7:50. It's only 7:57 there. Okay, maybe you're busy. I'll give you that. But we're going to back to the Creative Loafing. This was going to happen anyway. Rick Dodge, 85, the city council when they build a stadium, and it literally, for those of you that maybe do it. Thank you, brother. He just there may be issues tonight, and I will be calling for an Uber. Um, my guy just bought me a beer. Thank you. And but they knew it was going to happen here when they brought this team here. I go back to, oh God, I'm becoming that guy who tells the same story. Hey, come over, son, Grandpa's name. I'm going to tell you a story about how your mom was born. It's like, yeah, Grandpa, every Christmas. No, but they knew that there'd be an expansion off the Bayfront. And there was a time when the only place down here, and even on the Bayfront, after 5 p.m. on a Friday, you could scream and nobody would come to your aid. Of course, it was before cell phones and nobody really gave a shit and you had to dial phones. But I mean, nobody would come to your aid because it was nothing. It was desolate. And I'm driving down there tonight and where the old PD is across the street and just up the street here now, all these condos. And I'm like, and I got condos to the west of me here going up 34th Street. Part of what Fergs did from Hot Corner Pizza over here to Fergs, and as he built his entire, what is the world famous Fergs Sports Bar and Grill, which I don't know if you guys and girls know this. I'll tell this story. Walk around here and make sure you do it and look around at some of the fabrication and some of the things that coaches use to expand here and make this the best sports bar, I think, maybe in the entire United States of America, and I'll tell you why. Unless there's a sports bar, and I'm now Krabby's on the pass, I'm going to give you guys love. World's longest, as I got to finish the beer, world's longest waterfront bar. But this entire sports bar down here and what it means for the 2 blocks south and then 3 blocks east down here on Central Avenue, just below 16th Street in the edge of St. Petersburg. Coach used to pay me pretty well to do shows down here. Just goes to show you, damn, COVID, you screwed that up too, Peter. We were getting paid pretty well. We were doing a Buccaneer game. We were doing Buccaneer game shows down here. We did the draft. We did the Devin White draft down here with Hellcake. I gotta shout it out. Hellcake's one of Pete's great friends. Oh, that's an inside joke. But no, we've had some great times down here. But they, by association, for the 81 games that the Rays are across the street there. But wait a minute. The Rays have the shittiest attendance record in the entire Major League Baseball. So how did Fergs benefit from that? Was that a huge benefit? But what Fergs did is it continued to make this a place to be, a place to come down to, a place to come and be, to watch Buccaneer game days shows. Peter, you know what I'm talking about. To watch the Rays and be here opening day when there's 20,000 people. God, Peter, I wish we had nice. You made it. I wish we had producers so we go back and just say, look, grab me the opening day 2020. We were down there live. And it's all out there. It's the reason why. Oh, I'm sure my belt is showing. Yeah, I wear a belt. But it's there in the catalog. We'll pull it up. But it's made it a place to be. And so it wasn't that I can't make I'm not going to say bad journalism. Definitely not, because Creative Loafing definitely recognizes good journalism. Again, but they were trying to make the argument for the gas plant district, the city of St. Petersburg, go back to 85. They set it up so that in 2027, the owner of this race team, if you're still here, you get a plethora, Leeward, a lot of value and money and building and be able to shape this city in what is now the mid-central or the edge district of St. Petersburg as it develops with all these buildings going up and around. Oh, I forget they're on this side. What is it backwards for? Damn. Oh, shout out. I want to do this shout out too. In case you're just getting in there right now, welcome. I see you. Comment, please. I want to make sure I don't have any comments. Love the story with talking about doing a Grand Prix down here and what it's meant. One of the reasons why I've always loved coming down here and doing these shows, which is basically, I guess at this point, because y'all are, I see Mom watching. I'm kidding. But love the fact that, and you got to watch the Grand Prix. Remember, the Grand Prix is one of those funny things because, as I just kind of talked about, we've got, even before football, because we go back years, but with hockey going on and it's spring and with the Grapefruit League and all the baseball, and you got to watch, right? But you talk about what the St. Petersburg Grand Prix does and how it puts St. Petersburg, but by association, all of Tampa Bay, how it looks to the outside world, because that's always how I watch things, right? Going back to when, trying to make an argument in my head why in 95 after Culverhouse passed, why the Buccaneers team has to be here, because the NFL wanted to be here in the first place. But trying to I'm always looking at it. How does it look to the other eyes? So how does it look to? I guess we're all like that, aren't we? Aren't we? Somebody comment, Tim. It's going off the rails. I have another large beer to drink. What's the chances of us getting the center from the Rams? Don't know his name. Wait, no, Tim, I do. I saw that kid. Of course, one of the mock drafts I've seen. And there's only like, what, 2 mock drafts? Wait a minute. There's like 73 million mock drafts. But one of the mock drafts I saw had us taking a center, I think, from Wisconsin, which, again, would have loved to have had J.C. Allen on tonight. Oh, poor guy. He had plans, and I'm like, we reached out. I'm going to go ahead and tell this story because, you know, I don't know. I mean, did we see it? I mean, in light we trust, in Todd Bowles we trust to break down this team as we have to rebuild the entire coaching staff. But am I blind? I guess I'm not seeing it. I mean, are they in such a hurry to get Hainsey back out to guard, which was his original position at Notre Dame, and of course he moved to tackle or came inside and played center? Are they in such a hurry to get him out there because that's where he's more valuable? And if that's the reason why he's more valuable, then why is drafting a center in the first round? I mean, I didn't see. Please, someone tell me. I didn't see a breakdown in his game this year. And of course, it'd be great now after I've had 3 beers on a Friday night if somebody messaged and said, "Oh wait, someone just sent me an article." Oh, no, I haven't. Like I told you, the people over there going, "Oh man, I was going to give that guy credit. Looked like he was going to do the way he was setting that show up. He was spot on. Looked like he was going to do a great show." And then I was like, "Oh yeah," and the guy's just doing texts. He's a TikToker that all he does is pisses people off because he answers text messages while the people walking back of him. Oh my, I am so sore. What's up, brother? Nobody's watching. It's only one platform, no. Hey, what are you in town for? You live here. I see the shirt. Hold on. Yeah. That was funny. It reminded me of a story a couple weeks ago. Night before, I'll tell this story. Night before, my kids were set to go to see Annie at Ruth Eckerd Hall, the traveling Broadway show Annie. And I'm like, the night before, literally, we get a call and they're like, there's a seat available, 2 rows back, 3 seats over. You're close. I'm like, sold. Live theater. Met my wife doing theater, being in a show together, but love live theater. Love to see people they do some live. They do a show, they do theater, but you rehearse and you get it down. And every night the character's different. Every night the show is that little bit different. And you never know as a patron, unless you're working as a volunteer usher or whatever, you never know what that show's going to be. And there's people picking each other up, which is teamwork, which is, again, it works back to the whole UPS thing on a Friday night, which is why it sucked. I'm not going to lie to you. I pulled something tonight in my stomach. So, yeah, I was working with my guy, Mike. I'm not going to say your last name. I said I wouldn't say to you. He's the guy that I posted on my Facebook page that he saw that the Jason Light comment that I posted from the Pro Football Talk, blurb about, hey, we have other options. Kyle Trask is one of them. It's almost like it felt like it was going, like if he was saying it, he'd be like, hey, we have other options. I mean, Kyle Trask might even be one of them. It's like, didn't he almost beat Baker out in camp last year? Which brings me back to my question I asked the other day. I'm like, we were going into 2020 and all of a sudden, Peter King, he came around in week 6, but, okay. Bad me. I'm forgetting a name here. Ira Kaufman. How can I forget the Godfather? And Ira comes out and says, "No, I'm hearing it's Baker." And we're all like, "Well, why wouldn't it be? The guy's he's a 17th year veteran. He already took Cleveland and won in Pittsburgh. He's a dog, and this team doesn't need a whole lot. Someone not to make mistakes. Someone to pitch the ball to Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, and you got a developing Cade Otton, and you have Rachaad White, and you've got a pretty consistent offensive line, which is kind of starting to be, I think, one of Jason Light's calling cards." Decades down the road, you'll go, wow, he brought in Mike and then John Jameis and Roberto Aguayo, but Vita Vea and, Devin White. But, he really found those offensive linemen. And we found that out with Marpet. We found that out going back early. We found that's what Jason Light former defensive lineman, Nebraska guy, but former, lineman himself, worked in the trenches, and then being a scout and understanding, reading a great book. Brooks, he was the general manager he was the catcher on the Cubs team that won the World Series under Jim Madden. Is it Jim Madden? It's been a night. But talks about teamwork. I lost that thought. But hey, I see you guys and girls are hating me for it. Oh, hi, Tampa Bay, watching a Lakers game tonight. Jim, and thanks for checking in with me, brother. How's our guy doing tonight? Peter Blake, you are watching a couple right in front of it. Thank you. That's my producer. I'm going to stay with this. Look at that, Peter. What the golden touch? Peter just pops in here and he's like, hey, you guys, you're checking out a guy that, I had enough time to stop in, and all of a sudden numbers jump up. I love it. The thing with this Buccaneers team is that we're literally at the other end of the spectrum from where we were before Tom Brady came here. So Jason Light built a team that was ready for the greatest of all time and Tom Brady to come in here. All he had to do was just show the other 52 that they had the confidence, show them how to do it, right? Show them a diet, show them pliability, let Guerrero work with them, and then boom, this is how we do it. The confidence. Jason Light built that team. And now we're on the other opposite side. Happy Friday. So we're on the other opposite, where he got a dog that we brought in because he was a reclamation project. He was a dog. And that was kind of where I was going earlier when I said that, when Baker said, I didn't want to talk about whatever he might have lost with the investments with Enron or whatever it was, that they're like, oh, Baker lost some money. No, I kid you not. It's a good time for the Baker Mayfield family. But the fact that he came here and, he won 4-4. But here's the thing. And I'll say this, that I was ready to roll with Kyle Trask when Tom Brady walked away the first time, even though Blaine Gabbert would have been here another year. And I think Blaine may have won a job. I think Kyle might have beat him out. But again, we're going 2 years back, just based on skills and where he was in that offense. But then what would that Byron Leftwich offense have looked like without Tom Brady here? Although it was Tom Brady being afraid of taking a hit from anything that ended up making him have to get rid of the ball every. I'm going down a rabbit hole. We're on the other side, and we're like, Buccaneer fans are like, we still know that Jason Light knows how to build this team. I've been holding a beer the entire time. Everyone's going to think, they're just going to go to the show, and they're going to think I have I have Highlight girls from over here at Cigar City rushing in here. Highlight, by the way, Cigar City, great beer. Rushing in here every few minutes and just handing me a new beer. No, it's the same warm ass, feels like this beer. No comments? Come on, somebody. You know what? I'm going to grab that cold one. I'm gonna keep holding it. I gotta hold it. It's weird. You're out here. You're on Central, and I gotta go back to a St. Petersburg where, if you'd been walking with a beer, oh man, Trump would have had you murdered. I'm kidding. That was for you, Al. We can talk politics. I'm not gonna go any further with that, but they're gonna turn the lights off on me soon. So the other night, again, with the lights out over at the CVS again, which, by the way, again, contrary to popular belief, and I've seen so many of y'all popping in my DMs, and like, were you really at CVS because you're getting a sexually transmitted disease treated? And I'm like, yeah, no, like I just stopped over there, but the lights went out. I hadn't given my prediction for the Baker Mayfield contract, and I've been reasoning all week, which is the reason why I'm staying with this, because I know one of y'all are. Oh, no, I already commented that. But I jumped back in there, and I've been trying to downplay it all week. I'm like, you know what, 25 to 30 million. They came in, they wanted 72 million a year. Light offered again, $15 and Golden Corral passes for the entire family twice a week. And I was like, because it's. But at the end of the day, I think the Buccaneers to be ready to go with him and see where that goes. Almost like I would a Tyrod Taylor or a Gardner Minshew or a Mitch Trubisky, because at the end of the day, you bring somebody in, and again, it's all about making the other 52 in that locker room believe and be able to play the position. I mean, that's obviously the most important, but also having the entire team behind you. And I think that this team, this Todd Bowles team, a team that doesn't have so many lead outspoken leaders, but yet just the dogs that Jason Light has drafted in here and the type of team that he's built and the culture that they have, is that I'm like, well, I mean, okay. But at the end of the day, I also know how important it can be to have that consistency and to know that the guy that everyone looks to, the guy that every reporter sticks a microphone in their face, the guy who's asked why the defense break down in the fourth quarter because he, by association, is the leader of the offense, your Pro Bowl quarterback, Baker Mayfield. So that's where my feelings kind of were a little bit. That's where I was like, that's where I started getting a little bit emotional. I say emotional. I wasn't crying. This beer is so cold. Cigar City Highlight. Let me make sure I give it a shot. That's where I was like, it's so rare that you find that guy. And I had to ask myself, how much of that is me saying that because we just had that guy, right? Tom Brady, 3 years. It's like, okay, so now is it harder for me to try to evaluate the importance of the quarterback position for a team? And what is the fact that they found a Baker Mayfield? I hope you guys are enjoying this. The fact that they got a Baker that came in here because the Cleveland Browns decided to go with Towel Guy. I don't know if that's even right. Probably get sued for that one, but at least that means somebody's watching. But so Peter, I was exiting, and of course, was he talking to Mr. Williams? He was talking to Mr. Williams. I love Mr. Williams. If you guys aren't catching, I don't get in enough because Peter's got so many people coming on. He had Dennis Phillips on the other night, which is because this is by association. It's the humidity's back, so of course Dennis Phillips coming in talking about Florida and the storms. But Dennis Phillips and rule number 7, is it DP? I call him DP. I mean, it's not like we're friends. We've done a few shows together. I've had a chance to talk to them, ask them a question. But wait a minute, the Peter Blake comment. You're not watching the show. So I the lights went out the CVS parking lot, but I wanted to give my prediction. And the entire day, all week, and especially after Mike Evans signed, I'm like, and then Mike Evans himself even said, Baker Mayfield is an elite quarterback. I'm paraphrasing. Baker Mayfield is an elite quarterback. But I've played with some other quarterbacks, and I'm like, well, yeah, Mike, you play Mike Glennon, and then Jameis Winston, and then even Ryan Fitzpatrick at times, Fitzmagic, and was McCown in there somewhere? I don't know why I keep wanting to add like a fifth person, like it's like it's an orgy at the David Koresh compound, which I don't know if they had orgies. That's a terrible thought. But I'm like, yeah, Mike's caught balls, and the type of receiver that Mike is, he actually is the type of receiver that can make a Johnny Manziel win a Heisman Trophy, which I've been waiting all day to make that drop. I hope it came across as a good delivered line. But it's all posturing. Because I'm also, at the end of the day, why would Baker want to leave Tampa Bay? And I'm not saying that Pittsburgh with more money and it's all about money and all. And then some people are like, well, I want to say it's Emily. I know this because I should know this. Mayfield, Mrs. Mayfield, of course, and little baby Mayfield on the way. Why wouldn't you want to be here? We all want to buy into this because we've been here. Our parents, our grandparents parents brought us here. That's the reason why we're all here. It's Florida. And he's had success here. But I think more importantly, one of the reasons why I think the deal gets done and Baker wants to be back here in Tampa Bay is because he sees the type of organization the Glaziers are running. Brian Glazier, Joe Glazier, Darcy Glazier, Kasowitz. You owe me a press pass for that, Darcy. No, thank you all for what you're doing. But the type of organization you're running, the class act, except for the bugs in the shower, again, we can talk about that another time. The kind of class act that you all run here, why would he want to be anywhere else? But, of course, Baker's got to get that bag. He's got to get the biggest. God, nobody else at all. Y'all are some non-talking sons of guns. I'm going to be here till like 3 a.m. I'm going to chop the crap out of the show. Little sound bites that make me sound smart. I can't carry a show. I haven't done a show here. I've only done a show here like, 3 years on a Friday, the weekend of the St. Petersburg Grand Prix. But tonight was a little weird because it was great up here at Ferg's with the Big Brother band. But usually I go on deeper. So I've done a show from outside Detroit Liquors there, just above, Beach Drive, right there on First Avenue North. And yeah, the vibe is it's so crazy because you've got so many people that are in town from all over the world to watch this Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, which is what this IndyCar race is, the first race of the season on the IndyCar circuit. And it's global. And I'm glad I worked back to this thought from earlier, is that watch the race on Sunday. It's 12:30. It says start, but there's a cool front coming through. Here's what's going to happen. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say this right now because I'm going to chop this up and I'm going to share it because because this is all this is about. This is us talking to each other, making sure. I got another comment. Thank God. No, I don't. Shoot. There's a cool front coming through Sunday morning. So we got humidity right now. They're going to be out in track tomorrow. They were out in track today. They're going to be warming the cars up. They're going to be warming the tires up, getting those tires set, getting a few laps on a tire, maybe a lap or two, so they know what they got. They have them in a rotation. It's going to be humid on Sunday morning, right? And the teams already know this because I think they actually used the satellite tracking in Windy.com for the race. But there's a cold front coming through. And it's not Johnny Dean. It's not a Pittsburgh cold front, but the humidity is going to disappear all of a sudden. Like it's going to get sucked out of here, but there'll still be moisture on the road, especially with a little bit of rain. It may or may not come through with that front on Sunday, but then it's going to really cool out here. The reason why I'm telling this is because wherever you are on Sunday, if you do me a favor, tune into the race. And I'm sad to say I'm not sure exactly what channel it's on. I'm assuming it's ABC because ABC used to always be the covering IndyCar. But tune into the race and watch what they're using with the helicopters and the drones and the racetrack they have down there around the waterfront, how it circles around Charlie Crist's building. I can say that because I've actually worked on Charlie Crist's campaign, of course, former Florida governor, congressman, should have been president. Maybe still has a chance. I mean, you can be president now as long as you're under 100 years old. I'm kidding. That's my Biden joke, but let's try to get some comments in here. I got a comment. Jason said, I am good with signing Baker again, but what about Kirk Cousins? Here's the thing. I wanted to say this to Peter so much the other night. Justin, thank you so much. Is that I'm not buying a Kirk Cousins hype. I like the whole Target sweaters thing. I think he's a family guy. I like that when the Washington Redskins, and I can say Redskins because they were the Redskins when they drafted him and both Robert Griffin and him in the 4th round, but Griffin in the 1st round. I'm listening to that podcast again. I'm going to try it again. Oh, Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay, Matt LaFleur, and Mike McDaniel. Of course, you go back. I want to answer your question, Justin. So he's like the product for the Buccaneers for the money that Kirk Cousins may or may not want. If we were Atlanta and his wife is like going home to Alpharetta, Georgia, and he's got a lock on this thing, I'd be like, yeah, we'll make it nice. We'll let you film quarterback for the season 3 on the Amazon or the whatever Netflix, and we'll give you a beautiful house over there in Buckhead, Atlanta. What a beautiful area. My wife and I, every time we used to travel through there on the way to Carolina every year, we'd stop into Buckhead for dinner. Canoe. That was the name of the restaurant, Kathleen, wasn't it? Oh, good stuff. But I've never bought the Kirk Cousins hype, but I think he's a really good quarterback. I mean, but he's not going to come here for cheaper than Baker would. That's the thing is Kurt, I mean, he's not where Baker, here's the thing about Baker. At 28 years old, and help me if I'm wrong here, guys, 20 years old, Baker's on that contract, right? The Cleveland Browns, they fucked him the first, oh my God, I'm sorry, Peter. They screwed him the first 5 years. They screwed him because he played through injury. He took him to the playoffs. He took him to a victory in Pittsburgh. And then they screwed him, so they stuck his timeline back, which is exactly what's happened to Kyle Trask. And I still pose that Kyle Trask timeline will get started here next year probably for someone else. This season we haven't. Sorry, Kyle. We drafted you out of Florida. We took you, the Buccaneers. You will 100%, just like you were at Manville behind Derek King, just like you were at Florida behind Philippi Franks. Of course, he goes and gets injured, and you end up going 11-2 and come with a breath's hair of the Heisman, and you win in the Orange Bowl. You'll stay here, and you'll be ready to back up Baker, who Baker should probably, I would think, be here as our starting quarterback, and I think that gets worked out 100%. I told Peter when I jumped back in at the CVS the other night, for some reason, and you guys, I've shared it on my Facebook page. It's the reason why I'm telling you guys this story. Peter says going to Atlanta. Yeah, I mean, that's Kirk Cousins. That's because that makes the family happy. And he can go to Atlanta and he could do the Marcus Mariota with the quarterback thing. And it's like, now that Atlanta has a quarterback, because it's not Mariota with Ritter behind him. But I'm just kidding. The band's going to do another set, so I'm going to drink this beer. Hold on. I may not drive till Tuesday. Thank you, Peter H. Blake. For some reason, when I was telling Peter my prediction for the contract for Baker, something popped into my head, and I'm going to stick with that, Pete. It's the entire reason for this entire show here. No, actually, it was the city of St. Petersburg, and it's make sure I got the beer out of my hand in case this take ends up actually being worth using. What take am I never? I should have been staying here the whole time. I jumped back in there with you and Mr. Williams, and I said 3 years, $150 million. Got to get there like you do with Mike. Got to be some incentive laden, and maybe some of it's a little inflated because really in this day and age, social media and everything, it's really, and I'm not saying it can't easily be found, because a minute later, Florio and PFD are like, oh, well, this is actually how Shohei Ohtani's contract worked. Actually, they're paying him in 73 years, and he's actually going to bang the owner's wife. No, the thing is that it's all about showing what a Baker Mayfield means to this team. Oh God, my fuse went down. I shouldn't have said bang. And I said 3 years, $150 million. Get there with incentives and out after 2. I think that's what the Jason Light to get Baker Mayfield and his camp happy has to be jumping in with an out after 2. Because, and here's the thing, that's the gamble that Baker Mayfield and his camp have to take. They have to go, okay, give us the big bonus. We'll make it look good out after 2. But in 2 years, you're going to want me. And okay, now we're paying you Deshaun Watson money. Now you've proven it again. It's not just a 1 year under Dave Canales. Now you've got 2 years under Liam Cohen, and you've won a Super Bowl, and you're going to make $75 million a year. That's the way I see it. But again, I don't think Buccaneer fans are. It's all me talking. There's always, what is it with me, guys and girls? I mean, I see you guys watching, but nobody ever wants to comment. I do better when I do the interviews here. People want to stop. At the same time, we're also we see this team that plug and play quarterback. Not to dismiss that was a beer burp. I want more. Not to dismiss the importance of having a quarterback, a franchise. And now I'm just burping. Stick with me. Yeah, I have nothing. So I'm gonna do a quick thing from start to finish. This is Buccaneer quarterbacks in my time. Mike Ray, because my dad burned I've told you all the story about Mike Ray, and of course my dad's name Ray and my name Ray. Yeah, we're down here live in St. Petersburg. I'm a news reporter, right? Yeah, I'm the drunk news guy.
Yeah. So who are
you talking about the dog? What the hell? Oh, yeah.
So who are you? What are you doing?
I'm talking sports. I'm talking about the Grand Prix, Buccaneers, Baker Mayfield.
Okay.
Are y'all from around here? Where are you from?
What, originally?
You're from Georgia. Okay, you look like you're from Georgia.
All right, no. Good.
Do you live here, or are you in from town? Are you in town? So why is not a baseball stadium not going to work in St. Pete? I know it makes you all have to come across the bridge, but you guys see what's going on down here. This can be a real party area.
What's your side? What side do you lay on?
Well, I'm down here at the world famous Ferg Sports Bar, Seminole. But the thing is that, but here, brother, you're from Tampa. Seminole.
No, I'm not from Tampa.
No, you said you live in Tampa. Wait a minute. Okay, wait. Keep talking. I'm good at this. Wait, I'll let him go. I'm sorry. Give me 5 more words. Say the red rabbit runs over the fence. I'm good at this. I'm gonna guess where you're from. Give it to me, please. One time.
Wait, I took a typing test. It's the Brown Fox Junior.
Do it for me. Wait.
No.
Wisconsin. I just heard it. Am I wrong or right? I just heard it when you did the red brown. Come back in camera, because I'm telling you, I've had you. I'm wrong. I'm wrong. Okay, sorry.
No.
I'm close. Chicago? No, I didn't hear Chicago. You didn't have any accent.
Why are you so close? But
Oh, okay. Go have a great evening. Nice to meet you, brother. You're a wrestler. That guy's a wrestler. That's awesome. Hey, take care. Hey, Peter Blake. I'm on his Facebook page.
It's the most beautiful state up north.
Oh, Minnesota. I just heard it.
But here's the thing.
I just heard Minnesota.
Here's the thing.
Okay.
I don't know who you are.
No, I'm
I
just.
don't know where you lie. I don't know if you're a good guy or a bad guy.
Okay. Fair enough.
You have to tell me, and you haven't told me shit.
Oh, I'm just doing sports.
You're
I'm
from
talking
where?
sports. From Seminole.
Seminole. What is that?
Well, see, no.
Is that
Now,
like a casino?
no, come in here. Come in here. Let them see you. Okay. No.
I can't.
So I got a job in IT 35 years ago. At the same time, I was offered I was information technologies, but I worked for
I understand what IT is.
I work for a local government. I used to program RPG. I used to write RPG code.
You work for local government now?
I'm not going to tell you who,
Why?
because you're not telling me anything. You're being sus with me. I work for the city of Pinellas Park, centrally located, simply centered. But yeah, I've been here 35 years. I'm in a drop plane. But so I was offered at the same time.
Minnesota. I moved to Tampa.
Minnesota. Okay. Yeah.
So there you go. So
What was the thing is, but because the Bucks were always in your
why do you
division.
want to know my opinion about the baseball?
Because it makes for interesting conversation.
Even,
Oh, baseball? No, the stadium.
yeah, the stadium.
Because you
That's
live in
what you're
Tampa.
saying.
You live in Tampa, right?
Yeah.
So obviously you hear the same story with
They've always been the Tampa Bay Rays.
no, and they are.
They've never been the St. Pete Rays.
No, they are, and that's the thing is that back in '85,
Here's the question: what do you think?
I'm over here. Talk to me.
What do you think about the
Oh, now you're in my camera.
St. Pete Rays?
No, I want them to Tampa Bay Rays. They've never been the St. Pete Rays. Because at the end of the day, it's all about. Because even though here's the deal, how you've been in Minnesota, so you can't. I've been here all my life since '72.
Have you ever seen the Rays jump out of the water?
The Manta Rays? I mean, I've seen one. I've seen
Been to the Manatee Viewing Center?
no. I do nothing. I work. I told you I have like 18 jobs. I'll talk to you later. Hey, check out this show, okay? It was nice talking to you. Wait, I got to ask. It's a sports show. It's Cup of Ray.
Huh?
It's Cup of Ray.
Cup of what?
Cup of Ray.
Cup of Ray?
My name's Ray Kennedy. So I call it Cup of Ray because no one's commenting, so it's my thoughts. And although there's one comment, but
Almost 10 minutes to get your name on you. But okay.
oh, you're a cop. You're a cop. Yeah, you are. I get it. Hey, have a good evening, brother. So I forget where I was. Baker Mayfield. It's been Baker all night.
Never see me coming.
Oh, is there another comment? Please, Christopher Cole? It's better on the outside. LOL. That guy just told me. He just quoted a Robert De Niro movie. He said, "You'll never see me coming." I think I just made an enemy. I came out on a Friday night. You know, I'm going to continue a thought that I was having a conversation with that guy because I always think everything happens for a reason. For those of you that didn't live here, I haven't lived here since 1971, but all my life growing up and watching what happened with the Tampa Bay, the Hillsborough County versus Pinellas County, the big brother versus little brother. They get the Bucks, they got the Rowdies, they got Tampa International Airport. That was fine. And even to this day, St. Petersburg is literally more of a bedroom community than a large business community. It's just the way it is down here in St. Petersburg because the type of property you're dealing with and the location to the beaches, which probably means we're going to get hit with the Cat 17 hurricane this year. What's up with the Cat 6 things now? But there was always that big brother, little brother thing with Hillsborough County, Pinellas County, and people were like pissing contests. And even when St. Petersburg and Pinellas County worked and they made the decision to build a stadium to get Major League Baseball because of, again, Al Lang, Mayor Al Lang here in St. Petersburg and what he meant when he came down here. And of course, that stadium still exists to this day, Al Lang Stadium. It was like, we got this. Because if we didn't build a stadium, we weren't going to get a Major League Baseball team. They weren't knocking on our door saying the NFL wasn't telling baseball, look, Tampa Bay is a great place to be in February for the Super Bowl because it's like 50 degrees and sunny. Because baseball is like, we don't give a shit because in the summer it's 1,000 degrees and it's hot everywhere. But nobody was willing to. They were willing to kiss George Steinbrenner's ass to get. And I say kiss his ass. George Steinbrenner was very important to the area with the shipping and the Tampa Bay, and he made his money and getting the Yankees and Legends Field. I don't have a problem with that. I think everybody in the Tampa Bay area agrees that that would be the number one location right next to Raymond James, which will inevitably be placed within the next 5 to 10 years, probably more closer to 10, with another new stadium right there on Del Mabry because of the central location in Tampa Bay. I get all that. But here's the thing. You go to other cities like Chicago or Detroit or places that you got to travel 90 minutes and then park and pay $100 to park, and then you got to still walk 17 miles to get to the stadium. I get that it can be a bitch to get there, and then you have to make plans to get there, and you have to drive, and there's some traffic, and you got to come across to Howard Franklin to the west side, to the beach side for a sunset. But I would pose that if you're already thinking about that shit before a stadium even gets built, if that's your argument to why a stadium doesn't work here in Tampa Bay, if you can't dream about ferries coming across boats and rivers and buy yourself a boat, and you could live on a coast, you could live in Davis Island, and you could bring a boat to the freaking game every game, and then take the Jolly Trolley up Central for 50 cents and go see the Rays play. If you're not thinking that, then what the hell are you even worried about keeping a baseball team here in Tampa Bay in the first place? Because that's the romanticism of baseball. That's the reason why Mayor Al Lang in 1918 contacted, after he comes here from Pennsylvania, the laundrier that Al Lang comes here, and he's like, this is nobody. I thought that I had a group over here watching me. I'm not even performing for. There's like, oh, Mom, you're still watching. Thank you. It's only you. It wasn't that he came here and he was like, this is, especially in spring when they're training. And I get it. It's a reach. That's why we're building an indoor stadium, because in Florida in June, July, and August, which is your hot months leading up to September, and then of course the boys of October, those are your months. I mean, how many of us Tampa Bay area residents haven't at one time or another thought, oh my God, if only baseball was the same months as football? I mean, because if baseball was October, November, December, January, we would win. Number one overall, outdoor stadium. We'd have the best turf. It'd be awesome. We'd have the beaches packed. Everybody would be lining up to come here. It wouldn't just be the American League and the National League, but there'd be like a United League, because it'd be such a freaking hot territory to come down here in October, November, December, January. Baseball doesn't work like that. So I get that. It's a weird thing. It's 162 games, 81 home games. I get that. But my Tampanians, my residents over there across the Howard Franklin, the Gandy Bridge, or the Courtney Campbell, or maybe you drive up around Racetrack Road. If you're not coming over here because you want to bring your family to experience staying in one of these fantastic condos, and they're going up everywhere. I know, it feels like I'm selling my soul. It feels like I'm in bed with Beelzebub. If you're not coming over here because you want to bring your kids to have an experience, and I said this about Cup of Ray 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, because I've been making this pitch for 2 years. Don't want to take your shoes off, put your feet in the sand. You can literally go down to the $90 million pier, probably costs $150 million with cost overruns. But that thing is a thing, down by the Donnelly Museum, and drive out along what is now right now. Don't do it this weekend, because it's a track for the St. Petersburg Grand Prix, which again, watch that on Sunday at 12:30. But if you're not coming over here because they've got the beaches there, they kept Spa Beach, and then driving all over, it's all front, the city of St. Petersburg, the forefathers, they saved that all as green space front, waterfront property. And I was coming in here thinking I was going to keep the gloves off because I love my residents of I don't want to alienate Hillsborough County, because when I get my radio show in 2 years now, June of 2026, and that's when you'll have me every morning to contend with. Pat and Aaron, I'm going to do a Christian show. I'm not going for your demographic at all. But going back to St. Petersburg and Tampa, and being able, if you're not coming over here to just have an experience with your family and see the Rays play, the best team in the American League. Not year in and year out, but I mean with the lowest contract. I threw a little shade tonight to the Boston Red Sox, and it was Dave Portnoy. Now, I'll be honest with y'all right now. So the numbers are up. I'll stay with this. It's like an hour. Oh, my God. It's going to be a marathon show, but I'm drunk as hell, so I'll stay on. So I didn't like Dave Portnoy, what he did originally to get page clicks or views and to run his business up. I love the fact that kid was hustling, printing up every morning, sports pages, selling them downtown, making money. I love what he's done. I love Barstool Sports. Great group, people having a good time. I love Barstool Sports. I already told you I like Pardon My Take, but he's in town this week because he's doing this pizza thing, and I'm sure we're going to find out later what it was all about. Probably hope it's not some kind of a joke about Tampa Bay, but they're like, oh, he's showing up. And ruin your black tie affair. I was the last one to know. I was the last one to show. I was the last one you thought you'd see there. I saw the surprise and the look in your eyes when I took his glass of champagne I gotta sing it now. And I toasted you, said, honey, we may be through. Hear me complain. If this is the Big Brother band, oh God, probably end it for trademark. I remember this show is so categorically. I remember a time when it was always us against Hillsborough County, and it was like, Pinellas County had this complex. This isn't a victory lap. This isn't a look at us now. I think part of the disconnect, I think when I hear Tampanians and people a little bit east and are like, we won't go to St. Petersburg, we will not travel over for a Rays game. I think that even without even doing it, and I think there's probably some residents here in St. Petersburg right now tonight that are laying their head upon a pillow, not thinking of some idiot on 11:38 p.m. that are thinking, this is our peacock time. How you let me know? No, we've always known that we were the beaches. Tampa Bay locked it down with everything responsible to Hillsborough County. And then you go over to the farm fields of Lakeland or East Tampa. I mean, that's just to Florida going back 100,000 years. No, but Tampa Bay has always been Tampa Bay. But I think part of the disconnect, part of the now, and I understand I'm making an argument for something that I've known for years, but you all seem to be coming around to lately. Although J.P. Peterson and Peter Blake, you guys are still saying, and you guys have me now till the shovels break that ground, right? So we've heard the Rays. I heard Brian Auld, and I heard them. We're talking about how we're going to move the stadium to the center, and then the south side of that. Currently 88 acres of Tropicana Field of that property over there, the old gas plant district. We got a plan for a museum. And here's the thing. That stuff is going to happen if the Rays could be the Saskatchewan Rays or the Saskatchewan Bears. That's all happening, right? And that's another reason why I work it back to the reason why with the creative loafing. And when they said, oh, Ferg's, no, all of St. Petersburg, all of Pinellas County, all of this area, we've seen this. There's so many people that are smarter than us that have had redevelopment specialists. People have their eyes on the future. Some of the things we have going on in the city of Pinellas Park, so exciting. I don't know why I just did that. Like I have to learn this minute. They've known stuff was going to happen. But this right here that's happening, this is part of that plan. This is part of the reason why those back in the 80s, the people that built this stadium that went out on a whim and said, look, we know we can do this. We can build this stadium. We can get one of these teams that are now worth in the billions of dollars. And because again, let me say, Major League Baseball wasn't coming. They weren't going to come around and go, oh, you know what? Charlotte, you're in. Vegas, you're in. Oh, Tampa Bay, of course you're in. They weren't. Major League Baseball wasn't doing that. They had to do this to get the team. It's kind of, and so they said, you know what? Because of that big brother, big sister, or big brother, little brother. Christopher Gold says, dang, that guy looked like a bounty hunter. He looked like bounty hunter. He did. He was really working me. He thought I was trying. I tried to get him to come on camera because I understand doing a show that it's rude for me to talk to someone off camera unless I'm being interviewed, which is really funny. It's like, do you ever watch? It's great. We're so lucky here in Tampa Bay. We have such great local sports and news coverage. But you're watching people and they're like, so they never look at the camera. They look at the person. My uncle saw a UFO, yes, and he saw it come down, and it actually did a rotation around the Calabash and it shot straight above in the sky. And I'm like, how do they film that? I mean, it's like, so obviously someone's interviewing them, they're looking at them, you're talking to someone, it's natural. I'm just explaining things. Yeah, Christopher, that guy like a bounty hunter, he was so suspect. He actually told me. He actually just told me I won't see him coming. I won't. Oh, come, please. My mortgage payments. How long have we been on? Yeah. Okay, so it's 11:42. New glasses at midnight. After midnight, at 12 midnight and 1 second. This is actually going to turn into a Scientology show. So I have this thing where I have to pedal, L. Ron. I have to talk about, the thetans I have to talk about, being, it's a thing, but I get paid for it. But if you guys and girls don't mind, I'll just keep it in this show, keep it on Peter's page, and then, bang for the buck. If I get numbers, in fact, that's how I'm paid as far as, the incentive bonuses are created on the number of viewers. And I'm rocking it right now with 2 people. So, Mom, is it the person who's next to you there in the ACLF watching with you? Oh, this is sad. Let me just make sure I got everything up. Oh, I'm so sore. Yeah, UPS. I'll tell you what. So I got this thing now. I gotta go. I'm gonna be honest. I want to get some of my guys and girls that I work with, my dogs that I work with, their UPS, get them on here. I know y'all are thinking, there's fireworks going on. It's crazy down here in St. Pete, but right now it looks like, don't cry for me, Argentina. But get my dogs on here. But tonight it was just, there's this thing. It's one of the things I love about UPS. I love being a Teamster. I'm not going to cry about it. I had no reason to cry about it. But every night, I love telling this to every new recruit that comes in, every person. I'm not the person that greets them. I'm not Julie from the Love Boat. But, every night we're problem solvers. Because every night the boxes are coming. And, are they coming? Boy, did they come tonight. I know I tore something right here. See how it looks. I got a little bit of. Every night, boxes come upside down. Tonight we had some asshole on belt number 1, Rodney. I'm sorry, I'm going to go there, but this guy was. They literally got 73 boxes in a row where the label was straight down on the bottom. I had to flip the box to see where it's going. They were averaging 35 pounds, and then find out. And I'm like, that's, because you're in your head all night, you're doing the numbers. You're like averages. Okay, what's the, there's 75 boxes. What are the chances that this asshole can put every box label down or can get, and I even allow in my head for like, well, maybe they're just, they're throwing it the same way. It's like, well, they have to be smart enough in the first place that they would realize that, oh, look, I'm throwing that box and it's landing label down and it's going to get there. But tonight we handled it. It was tough. And I'll be honest with you, about halfway through tonight, I was like, ooh, I want to do this show down here tonight. I wanted to pick up some of that vibe down here in St. Petersburg that I hope you all guys and girls saw early in the show. And picked up having, again, the 20th Grand Prix. It goes back to 85, but we've been running IndyCars since 2024. Rock Riley, thanks for the coverage you've been providing this week, because I'm like, so we all, right? We all get our news the way we get our news. It's aggregated the way our lives are. We get the Twitter posts, the X posts. I'm gonna wait for this to come back up. The coverage you're giving us from down here, and again, do me a favor, guys and girls. I see your numbers. I see you all watching. Sunday, just tune into the race. The first 5 laps. That's all I ask. I know it's a Sunday. You're with the family. It's not football season. Baseball season's in 2 weeks. The Lightning never play during the day on Sundays. They probably do this Sunday. You don't. Tune in. DVR it. Tape it. And watch the first 5 laps. That's all I ask. First 5 laps. The reason why I asked the first 5 laps of the St. Pete Grand Prix is because they start using the helicopters, right? So they've got helicopters, drones. They've got the cameras seated on different towers down here in St. Petersburg, and they start playing with them, right? Because as a director or a producer of that race show, they know their money shots. I love using money shots. It's 11:46 on a Friday night. I can actually do money shots, but they know their money shots. But you love how you watch the beginning of a race and you're seeing them, start finish line, and they go into turn 1 and turn 2, which on this case, the turn 2 ends up being going up Beach Drive, right? And they come back, they come back around Beach Drive. And then they go back along. They go to Alfred Whitted Airport for that, the big loop there and the start-finish line, and it goes into turn 1 again. But watch the first 5 laps, because you'll all of a sudden, and do me a favor, guys and girls. This is important, because it ends up being the only reason why I'm going to get a DUI tonight. I won't, I promise. When you watch the first 5 laps and you reason it back to the fact that these are Indy cars, and down here on a Friday night in St. Petersburg, we've got Italians and English and Germans and different people that are in town to watch the first race of the Indy cars for the 2024 season. But it's a world thing. It's one of the few races, Indy cars, that actually happen on American soil, but the street course. And you go back and you realize that this was one of the first courses that ever didn't go on to loop-de-loops or going on. And I say loop-de-loops, that's because I was a NASCAR race fan. When you're watching those 5 laps on Sunday, just remember, watching through the eyes of someone who's never been to Tampa Bay. And I know you guys and girls have been, or at least you're familiar enough with us, because if you're watching Cup of Ray here on a Friday night, you're a Bucks fan, or you're a Rays fan, or a Lightning fan, or a Rowdies fan, or a USF Bulls fan, since Peter Blake and I and Amped Up Sports are locking it down with your USF Bulls football coverage. Haven't got basketball yet. I don't get invited to that party. Thank you, Leo Haggerty. By the way, I'm going to go ahead and share this story. Leo. Okay. One of the top 5 things in my life, if I die tomorrow, is having had and I'm holding a beer when I say so. I want to carry the beer. The beer's fine. One of the top 5 things, Leo, sports related, 100%, is having had the opportunity to be media credentialed for the USF Bulls through Amped Up Sports, and of course you, Leo Haggerty, thank you. But being at it used to be the Hall of Fame Bowl or the Outback Bowl, but now it's the ReliaQuest Bowl, being with you and realizing that your questions, without a doubt, every year, the best, the setter, the reason why you tune into a coach's conference. You're like, Brian Kelly is they're going to talk about, and of course they talked about the NIL and the transfer portal. And I'm going to go ahead and tease this with you guys and girls that if you're watching the show right now and I see you, if you didn't watch that presser from back when the ReliaQuest Bowl for 2024 between Wisconsin and LSU, go back and watch that now. I know, I'll go back and I'll remind you that I was the guy that was like, Jaden Daniels has to play. I want to see Jaden Daniels. I want to see Jaden Daniels come in here and lock the deal down to deserve to be in a top 5. I really feel that if Jaden Daniels came in here with LSU and just played and just balled out, I think that's the kind of leader for a team that you're like, okay, now he moves out. What the hell, Drake May or May? I mean, I've seen Appalachia State own that kid every year. And that's because App State, go Volunteers, they're a great team. Of course, I said because my son loves App State. In fact, that probably is number 1 college right now if he had to choose that he'd love to go to, let alone play football for. But I'm like, Jaden Daniels come in here, LSU come in and just perform, lock it down, and then you're like, boom, you're number 2, maybe number 1, which is weird, right? Caleb Williams, the whole beard thing, what's going on with him? His parents want to control him. He needs a nightlight. Not really. But I'm saying is like, and I still hear people saying Drake May, and I'm not saying Drake's not a dog, but Drake reminds me of a Josh. I'm not going to say it. But I mean, it's like, really? That's your guy? I mean, okay, Penix, we said 72 ACL problems, even though the Tampa Tech kid, Indiana, goes to Washington, wins gets into the national championship game. That's a crazy thing. I don't know what took me there, but yeah, there's still no one around, so I'll just keep talking. But thank you to Leo Haggerty, because there's nothing like, first of all, giving my first, Leo was my first, because before I even got credentialed to cover the Bulls football team and Coach Alex Kolesh, and the memories that Tristan and my son and I have now from just him being there at the games and being rocking this. And of course, now with the success of the USF Bulls basketball program, TJ Reeves can attest to that, but the excitement and how one thing feeds the other, and then the approval for, or the commitment for an on-campus stadium. And now you're like, somewhere above us, Leroy Selman's just looking down and going, yeah, I knew you all had it. Horns up. And I mean, that's the kind of shit. It's the reason why I share. I know it comes across as I'm preaching, but I want you all to understand. I got to get it together. I want you all to understand the historical value in things, the historical value in having a Baker Mayfield or a quarterback that can be your team leader. Now, you all know why I had to get it together. I mean, because at the end of the day, if we're not all doing this, Everyone needs to know someone cares. Today, you be the one that lets them know if we're not all doing this because we're all just. Oh, you got comments. Wait, there's all dialogue going on. I'm over here crying. I'm like in a confessional. I'm like, yeah, bless me, Father, for I have sinned. I masturbated 73 times in the last 2 days. And there's like comments that could have saved me. Wait, let me go back. Okay, here, Peter Blake. He laughed at the previous. Wait, because Christopher Cole said, dang, that guy looked like Bounty. He didn't look like Bounty. He told me I'm not going to see him coming. Peter Blake said, no, LOL. And then my guy, Peter Blake, love you, brother. Don't tell me what to do, LOL. I did, I told you. Or fan of the Sports Web, yeah. You know, the thing is, with your blue suit and red carnation mafia take. There's 3 things I know for sure. I'm gonna finish the beer and get rid of this because this one's gonna be good. No, it's not. Are we still live? Check. Why should it matter? Okay. I got nothing. Peter, you and I have been riding side saddle for about 6 years now. And I knew from the very first show that we did together, number one, I knew I was working next to a Forrest Gump. I don't want to say idiot savant. You knew your shit. You know your stuff, and your dad knows that you knew your stuff. The moment I did a show with Peter, and then add into the mix at some point, it was J.C. Allen of SI, and of course it was Blake Anthony, and it was Philip Schrager, and of course my guy, Harry the Greek, Harry Berg. One constant has always been Peter, but those cats have also been talented too. And pretty early on in the process, I'm trying to make sure I have a job. Again, I'm going to draw a plan. 2 years, June of 2026. I am literally going to be begging you guys and girls for stars on Facebook. I'll be like, hey, look, please. From the moment I rode with you, Pete, I knew you were my ride or die guy. Because I figured if this guy can lock down the technical, I can lock down the nonsensical, and I'll help you set your shot up because I got that videography experience. But it's been a good ride. So I'm not going to cry on you, Pete. Appreciate you, though, bro. Because, at the end of the day, it is your Facebook page that I'm, like, raping your people watching. Oh, Peter says thank you. Thank you, brother. I'm going to go ahead and make this statement. I should probably get off, but I'm going to be sitting here for, like, a long time waiting to sober up to drive, which is fine. But that's how you do, right? This is a PSA for being responsible. Buzz driving is drunk driving. So I'm not even taking into account the edibles I had earlier this evening. But when I jump back into the Peter show on there on the Sports Web on Wednesday night, go back and watch it. I think it was funny. I tried to do a thing with the whole I'm at the CVS, even though I was there because I had stopped at Publix and bought my daughter Drizzlies, which is what she wanted. I'm not going to go back and watch a Sports Web, and you'll see it's one of the things about this Peter and I always joke about is that our content, although nobody's paying for it, it's always available, which is crazy. But hopefully you enjoy it. Hopefully somebody gets a kick out of it. Hopefully someone in back of me, you recognize someone walking in back of me, and you're like, oh my God, my cousin's daughter's boyfriend was there. Was I going to go deep? Or was I talking about the same paint? Yeah. So yeah, June. Oh, that was hot. My keyboard's hot. So I'm actually getting light off my keyboard, which actually helps me. Peter Blake says, "Would you shut up?" Okay, I did get a little emotional. So now you're waiting for that big moment, right? Did Stephen Smith and McAfee have a fight this week? Seriously. I mean, clickbait. It's funny because as the more and more that actually is news, which Roger Goodell would have you believe that there's not a day of the year that major NFL news might not break, which is makes me wonder if all the owners. I mean, we've got a lot of Fish and Grinder, which is by the way, let me recheck my Grinder page. But we got all these websites. It makes me wonder if the 32 owners or the ownership groups, if they're not all in a okay, we're going to go ahead and we're going to announce today that we're going to go ahead and we're going to screw Russell Wilson in the butthole and then let him go. We're going to take the whole $50 million hit. He can be signed for basically the cost of a French whore back in 1945 after World War II. But I mean, the thing is like, they now working a news cycle, which again brings me back around to Stink Bastard and Pape Latte. Why? I hate the fact that social media and computers, being a programmer myself, decides when I need to follow people. But Pape Latte and Stink Bastard, I've just been having so much fun following you guys lately. Know of your love, respect for Mike Evans. Know of your love, respect for the Buccaneers. Always known about that, brother. It's the reason why I've respected you guys from the very beginning. Didn't love your whole, kissing, Matt Gay. Kissing his ass because I was the one that came up with Oot Boot. I was writing for Bucks Report. The Oot Boot, of course, the Utah, the Matt Gay, the kicker, came in for the Buccaneers. A little shaky, but I think he's proven to today that he was a dog. Didn't like that you guys were riding with him, kissing his ass a little bit beyond even after he left here, because the truth of the matter is that the shit that went down here, he deserved to be gone. But then again, when he was gone, it meant we drafted a Roberto Aguayo. So that's another story for another day. But I love you guys. Oh, wait, Peter. Tyson versus Paul Smith versus McAfee. Brother, let me tell you something. Because here's the thing about the whole Mike Tyson versus Paul fight. Even my wife is like, wait a minute, Tyson's like 73 years old and he smokes pot like 73 times a day. How's he going to get into the ring with Jake Paul? And I'm like, don't you understand, Peter? I think you'll agree with me, as I've got not a whole lot of viewers watching, not like you had the other night, but I'm going to go ahead and do this drop anyway, because at the end of the day, isn't it really what we're about? Our thoughts, our feelings. Jake Paul has said all along that he wanted to do something for boxing. He wanted to do something for the sport of boxing. And even though Jake Paul comes from, YouTube, and they're doing crazy things, running cemeteries, pulling their pants down, screwing, a kid. But, that was it, him and his brother. He always wanted to do something for boxing. And as crazy as it seems, even if Mike Tyson's like in a wheelchair with he's got like a crutch and he's like walking around, which is fine. Sorry, ladies. I'm like, I'd pay to buy that. I'd pay to see that. I don't know if I would do the whole $63 so I can watch maybe Jake Paul one up him, or Mike Tyson gets that right hook straight up. I mean, it's interesting. But the moment that occurred, and even my wife said to me this morning, she's like, "Oh, Jake Paul's going to fight a geriatric Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson should be in a home." And I'm like, Paul always said he wanted to do something for the sport of pugilism, the sport of boxing, the sweet science. And I'm like, this continues that narrative. And I applaud Jake Paul, because I know you're talking about setting a fight up, how much God, I hate that my Wi-Fi went down a little bit. But at the end of the day, Jake Paul said all along that what he wanted to do was give back to the sport of boxing and to make it relevant again. And in this day and age, as a creative loafing is just, Fergus is the only business that benefited from having the Rays. That's bullshit. I mean, the entire St. Petersburg, the reason why they're going to build a new stadium here is because the whole city benefits from the Rays. But, do your narrative for your friends that are living on the east side of Tampa Bay. Jake Paul said all along that he wanted to give back to the sport of boxing, and take it from someone who had the box that, I didn't have to do the card slide through and try to wiggle my antenna. I had the box, Tyson's fighting Holyfield. it's on. You know, I had that box, and at the end of the day, I still never took it for granted because there was nothing like watching a Mike Tyson fight. God, my numbers dipped. Nobody's a Tyson fan. But at the end of the day, this fight between Tyson and Jake Paul, if it does happen, as it gets whatever, I mean, you would hope that they don't put it on pay per view and they're like, it's going to be $1,000 per viewing. That would be crazy. But you're putting the sport of boxing, and at the end of the day, boxing fans or sports fans, tell me one of y'all, my wife included, hasn't went, huh? I mean, what if Mike Tyson? What if he gets in there and then what if he? Because we remember that. And maybe the part of that's the whole reaching back historically to what Mike Tyson used to be and, what he is today. And still respecting Paul, but then also talking again about the city of St. Petersburg here, the Pinellas County, the peninsula on a peninsula that is Pinellas County, West Central Florida, as we're talking about a Friday night with the Grand Prix this weekend and new stadium get built across the street and out here at world famous First Sports Farm Grill, which I think I'm the only person right now, so I better get off because I might actually get I might actually get mugged. Let me go back to your comments. So no, I'm glad you said that, Pete. Oh, okay. God, if only I could get paid on how discombobulated my show is. And yeah, it's my show. I've reasoned this out. When I can Google Cup of Ray and stuff pops up, like from whatever, I'm like, okay, it's my show. I'm not going to tell you I made a mortgage payment on it, but the money I make from the proceeds from the show, but easy. Wait a minute. I lost it again. I got it. No, I lost it. Peter, this story's for you. And after this story, you and I will either stay friends, which I hope is true, but you go back 2 years ago. You did your homework like you always do. You went to Orlando to cover a Jake Paul fight. No, it was in Tampa. You covered it like you always do. Sports Web, Peter Blake. Alluding back to the whole thing with Leo Haggerty and what it's like to ride side saddle with Leo when he's asking the first and or the last question at a ReliaQuest Bowl conference. Talking to coaches of some of the best programs, college football programs in the entire national football, the entire college. And you do your homework. And you ask that question over there at the and Peter, this is the first time you and I have talked about this, even though we're not talking about this. I'm gonna get this off my chest. I kid you, it's not been bothering me because I've always known how I felt about it. But you asked Jake Paul about the whole thing. And I know you, and I'll give you guys and girls this inside scoop. I talked to Peter when he was in the parking lot parking for the event that night for that fight, that Jake Paul fight. There was no, hey, I'm going to ask this. I'm going to get him here. I got a great question. I had no idea what questions to ask. I knew he was there covering the event. I couldn't be there with him. I don't know if he'd have got me credentialed. Even JP won't get me credentialed for the Bucks games. I'm kidding. I love you, JP. Although, politically speaking, we got differences, but I'm good. He happened to ask Jake Paul a question about the fact that Jake Paul's been buying rollies for some of his guys he's fighting against. That was it. To me, as a person who knows Jake Paul but doesn't really follow him, but there's a big fight, it's in Tampa, and Pete's covering it, that was the most interesting question I could expect. I loved it. I didn't even know this was a thing. And then Jake says to him, in fact, do you need one? And Pete, just being the reporter that he is, the lockdown guy that Peter Blake is, my side saddle guy, says, well, I could use an upgrade. There were some people locally after that occurred, especially when after a week later when Peter and Harry the Greek were live on a show, which, again, the reason that keeps me doing this, the reason why I trekked down here after a 14-hour workday from the city to UPS, got my ass kicked, but I'm down here. Well, I can't leave here now because I'm drunk. But the reason why I do this is because it's the drops, it's the memories, it's the thoughts, it's the places of time that you can look at and you go, huh? And I'm hoping one of you guys or girls out there are listening to this. And this is one of those, wait, oh God, I got to get it right now. Good day. Paul. Wait, what was his name? Oh my God! Somebody help me out here. Please prove to me that somebody's watching. Paul Harvey, right? Paul Harvey. Good day. He would drop a fact, something you didn't know, and you were like, "That's kind of cool." Like this whole Diane Rossini thing that I'm listening to now on the Athletic with the podcast, but listening to her with but on Pardon My Take this week with Big Cat and PFT. Um, and some other transgressions that went down. And it wasn't from this week; it was last week at the Combine. But loving those stories. But again, Peter posed a question, and Jake Paul says to Peter, "He's like, in fact, do you need an upgrade? Do you need a? Do you want one?" Which is never his intention. And Peter just said, "I can use an upgrade," which I would totally expect from anybody at that fight. In fact, if you're a reporter at that fight and Jake Paul asks you if you need a rollie, and you don't say, "I could use an upgrade," you're a pussy. I don't even give a shit. I don't even want to hear you. It's 12:08. Shout out International Women's Day, but I did say pussy. Why am I listening to you? Not that you have to be a hateful person. You don't have to be Dave Portnoy, who's, again, the post I did earlier was like, the only reason why Dave Portnoy is in town doing pizzas is because it's the only thing that's going to make Red Sox Nation fans happy in 2024. Of course, that's the Tampa Bay Rays versus the Red Sox. That's a little bit of smack. Nobody picked up on that. I got not one Red Sox or Rays comment tonight, but that's fine. But Jake asked him that question, and Peter responds exactly. And then he's on his show live that Monday night. It was, and again, time and place that you're like, again, when I was on live, like Alex Schumber and Tom Brady Instagrams, "I'm coming back. There's unfinished business. Let's go." And you're like, biggest moment in the history of news for the Buccaneers. And I can think of some great moments in Buccaneers news history. Hardy Nickerson signing that free agent, that contract to come here, that validity. Before that, I mean, Leroy Selman, the first draft pick overall ever, but I was like literally 7 years old, so I didn't even know how to wipe my ass at that point. But moments in history over time, that Tom Brady announcement in 2020, "I'm going to come back. We're going to run it back." Big news. I'm on live, but the times, the reason why we do this, one of the reasons that keeps us going on a live, and I struck out tonight a little bit. I had a little Big Brother band, great here at Ferg's. It was great. It was happening. The music was awesome, but I didn't have my soundboard up. I couldn't do interviews. But when Jake Paul asked Pete that, and Pete says, "I can use an upgrade," just a simple response. Jake Paul, that Monday night, Pete's doing a show live, and that guy is the handler from Jake Paul calls Pete's show, and he's like, "And please, it's literal." And Pete, don't change it. Oh God, I hope me telling this story doesn't make you want to change it. This is the most prescient thing ever in my life. The guy calls in, he's like, "Oh, hey, Peter Blake," and Pete's like, "Yeah, what's up? What do you want to talk about? Is it Bucks, Lightning, Rays? What? What's going on?" And he goes, "Click." Until he hangs up. So Harry starts kidding with him. I'm going to tell this story because it's so beautiful. Harry says, "Oh, that was, they're calling you with the Jake Paul watch, with the Rolex." And Pete just dismisses it. Okay, literally nobody watching. Pete dismisses it. He's like, "Oh, and the guy calls back. And Pete goes, "Hey, you're on a sports web with, Peter Blake and Harry the Greek." And he's like, "Hey, it's so-and-so." And Pete's like, "Yeah, what do you want to talk about?" And he goes, "Oh, I manage Jake Paul." And then Harry the Greek says, "I'll keep the show. You go off." And then Peter went off air and got the information to get that $20,000 Rolex mailed to him. Such a beautiful moment, such a organic moment, but such a not contrived. Just it happened, and so I get it. I have inside information there, maybe because unless you're following, which a lot of you were following the Sports Web and Peter Blake, you knew that was you guys knew that was organic. There were some people in the local news some people that cover sports that were like, "Oh, I'm good, thank you. No, I want them, thank you. Yes, sir. Yes, thank you. Thank you." Mm. Honey, you better call Uber because I ain't coming home anytime soon. But even as I watch some people locally, sports people, reporters people, credentialed people, which it's not a stretch to say this at this time. I'm credentialed people. I've been credentialed to cover your Rays, your Bucks, your Bulls, the Clearwater Tornadoes. Inside joke. Shout out Stevie Thomas. The great day play. Like Anthony Peter and I had, we're like Stevie Thomas, Storm Legend. They got the Tampa Bay Tornadoes. We're gonna go cover them. We go down there. We set up. We walk in. I'm gonna tell the story anyway, because at this point it's literally just me and nobody else. We walk into Clearwater, and this is for you, John Momola. John Momola. Oh, I've probably offended a lot of people. It's the kind of dogs you'll be hiring when you hire Peter, Harry, and I. We show up to Clearwater Tornadoes, an indoor football league. And for us, it's anything Tampa Bay. We're like, no, whatever. Okay. What, they're doing a bra, although a panties league for all the swashbucklers? No, but I mean, we're like Tampa Bay. We're hustling. We're trying to. It's not so much the event you're covering because you want to cover these because whatever we're covering, there are people that genuinely believe that this will be a success. There's football players that genuinely believe that they were going to play. We saw some young kids. We interviewed them. They were genuinely going to be discovered, continuing to play in this indoor football league. We show up, Stevie Thomas, Storm Legend, Hall of Famer. We show up and we're like, hey, we're here for the press conference. They're like, okay, whatever y'all want to do. And so Blake Anthony, Peter Blake, myself, we set our cameras up. We ran the presser, had the players come on, had Coach Stevie Thomas come on, had everyone come on. We produced it, which is what you get with PBR Productions, with Peter H. Blake Studios. Seriously, if you're looking, I'm going to do a podcast to I want to sell all my, my mom accumulated a lot of, China, or my brother has a lot of sports. If you want to do a show that you want to reach out, you can do your phone, whatever. Hey, what up, everybody? Look, I got a Babe Ruth, rookie card. But if you want to do a show that's going to have production value, but also actually has tentacles that reaches you out, but you want to do a show that comes off as a show, then call Peter H. Blake Studios. Please do that for me. And it's not, I'm not just throwing love out because there's nobody watching. And it's like, it's 12:13 in the morning, so I guess I don't expect you to be. I see you watching. The moment that Peter asked that question and Jake Paul offered, and then on a show it came in, and then Peter came in, and some people were like, well, you know what? That's not how credentialed reporters act. Or a biased reporter. Because, the last thing you want to think about is an Ian Rappaport, right? Or a, insider that gets breaks from the NFL, but they at the other end of the thing, and you guys don't believe this, go read on Pro Football Talk. The other end, they're getting fed stories that they know aren't true, but they're feeding them because they want to keep themselves up front for the true fees. Oh, Russell Wilson and Ciara on a plane and are heading to Atlanta. They want to get that break. So they also report other information, whether from agents or from the team, because they want to stay in close. Because in this day and age, really, at the end of the day, there's so much stuff coming through. There's so much news. Oh, I've been off center the entire time. There's so much stuff that who can pay attention to that, we can throw a little, we'll throw a little out there. Oh, Russell Wilson just, he just bought an organic food farm in Atlanta. So that when they post an hour later that Russell Wilson just signed Arthur Blank and just gave him half of 50 shares of Home Depot original stock to be your quarterback. So when people started to actually try to make a narrative, because Peter was just covering a fight, he was just covering a Bay Area event, he was just doing what he do, and they tried to make a narrative to say, oh well, I don't know if I would have taken it. I don't know if I would have accepted. He wasn't He wasn't a freshman or a high school senior on campus receiving a gift. It was something that Jake Paul threw out there. And I would pose to you, if you're watching this show, you understand that some of us are out here hustling. and some of us are out here drunk, but some of us are out here hustling. And if opportunities present themselves to report on things, Peter calls me and says, "Hey, I'm doing this 7-on-7 elite down there at the Maximum." I'll be there, Pete. I love you. Of course, for me, it was payback because I went live that morning from downtown St. Pete on his Facebook page. And, he had a live event going. But I'm like, yeah, I'll be there. And I ended up having a great day. Coach, the defensive coordinator for Dixie for Hollins High, Hollins Rebel, Hollins Royals. And, of course, had a great time down to Elite 7. You saw us last week. That's my guy. And when I realized there were some people, nobody that's friends of ours, nobody that's in our circle, because they understood where we were at, where we're coming from, and where we're going. But some people were like, oh, yeah, I don't know if I want to. His agent called in the show that night. Peter ended up getting a rollie. And at the end of the day, Pete's got a freaking sweet rollie. And it wasn't like he sucked somebody off or he gave some false information, which is going on currently these days with a lot of your people like an Ian Rappaport or someone who reports things. It's like, oh, well, let me Google this and Google that. I don't have a problem with the fact that goes on. My problem is, like with Democrats and Republicans, is when you start to try to point fingers and you don't have your own house in order. My problem is when you tell me how, Baker Mayfield is asking for $75 million and Jason Light doesn't want to give him anything over $20 a year and a membership to Sam's Club. My problem is that I understand there's a lot of people have to make mortgage payments and feed the family and do their jobs, but they rely on the information that they're giving. So at times they can be a little bit verbose, kind of a Leo word. They can be a little over the top. Peter Blake says, you are still here. I know. I got to go. I'm going to go over to Waffle House and get breakfast. My problem is double standards. And it just seems like today there's so many double standards. Like this, don't like this. Vote for this, don't vote for this. Women should have the right to decide this. Women don't deserve the right to decide. It's okay, so you saw my political leanings. Do this, don't do that. Eat this, don't eat that. And everyone's trying to capture our attention, and we're getting into this wild, wired world where they have our phones, they have this is what prompts him to do this. This is what makes her select that. These are the type of videos that make them do this. Well, these are the videos that are sponsored by this. It's all advertising. So one of the things that keeps me going is that I'm trying to take a little bit of something off of that, what's expected, right? The programming of this, they know I'm going to do that. FanDuel knows that if I masturbate at 6 a.m. in the morning and I'm on a lesbian website, that I'm more inclined to vote I'm more inclined to put money on the Chicago Bears to cover a line at 2 o'clock or 4 o'clock. I mean, this is where we're at. So trying to do this thing where we're this is real. This isn't AI. This is something that the Hollywood actors, had to settle in their contractual agreements. Oh, I don't know why I went here. It's so dead down here. I've literally got 6, birds ready to go over my carcass here. Oh, God, I can't believe I'm saying this. I like Baker Mayfield. I like his story. I like his ode to Brett Favre. That's why I shared it on my Facebook page. One of my most liked videos of 2023. The fact that he did the whole, when he got drafted, number 1 overall, he went back and recreated the Brett Favre, draft from when Brett Favre was selected in the second round. But he recreated it because he liked that dog. And Buccaneer fans, how could you not like that dog that Brett Favre was? We got to see when the Atlanta Falcons let him get to Green Bay and Mike Holmgren. We got a up close and personal view of what Brett Favre meant for so many years until, of course, Warren Sapp came along and made Brett Favre his bitch. But so we understand what it means to have that dog. And Baker Mayfield's that dog. So I'm conflicted. Like I know you guys and girls out there are conflicted as well. That's the reason why it's been the number one topic this week. That's the reason why not just Tampa Bay media, but all of the national football media is running with the Baker and the Baker and the Baker. They can be talking about, oh, there's Gardner Minshew and Tyrod Taylor and Mitch Trubisky, and Baker Mayfield should be like the number one overall, and the Jets might call him, or the Steelers might call him, or the Falcons might call him, because Raheem Morris was in L.A. when he was out there working with Sean McVay. And we're like, oh, we got to believe it all. And we love it. I mean, it's great because, at the end of the day, it keeps the Buccaneers at the top of that news cycle. And I think we all as fans realize that if our team is the one at the top of the news cycle, then we're the ones that get written into the better parts in the 2024 script. I'm kidding. I got to get off now. I have nothing else. But again, when I was on with Baker, Baker. When I talk with Baker, I know it's Emily. I got to tell you, I'm going to Google it right now because this is going to really piss me off. If it's not Emily, I'm going to be very pissed. I know it's the beautiful Mrs. Mayfield. Mrs. Mayfield. Okay, that wasn't it. You know what? Since it's no longer International Women's Day, I'll have to Google Baker Mayfield's wife. Because that's how fast the algorithm, and that's sad. Okay, Baker Mayfield, wife. Emily Wilkinson was Emily, of course, the beautiful Mrs. Mayfield, and she is beautiful. Emily Wilkinson is Baker's wife. So I'm glad you know what? Just goes to show you. Even though I poo-pooed on the creative loafing Tampa Bay because I said Ferg's the only one that prospered from a stadium across the street, I would pose the entire Tampa Bay area, if not Pinellas County, if not the greater St. Petersburg area, has all benefited from having the Tampa Bay Rays here. But I'm not going to poo-poo on creative loafing because, again, you guys had the foresight and the expertise to go ahead and select moi as the 2019 best local columnist, and I worked hard for that shit because when I was especially after I found out I was Daniel Ruth, and I'm like, I'm against these guys. I'm like, oh, so and mind you, so I had the same routine every morning: Buccaneer practice, Buccaneer game, Buccaneer injury, Buccaneer nothing. I get up in the morning 4 a.m. I put on the Leonard Skinner Essentials, and by the time that the entire album was done, I had my article written. I worked for that. I have no idea what I was going with that. I have a comment here. Tyson versus Paul or Smith versus McAfee. Yeah, what's up with that? I know, I'm still here. I can't believe it. I'm just hanging out. My thoughts are that yeah, I have no thoughts. And I might actually start. I mean, I'm literally out here at the world famous Ferg Sports Bar and Grill on Central Avenue, just below 16th Street in the Edge District of St. Petersburg. But if I head 4 blocks that way, I'm telling you, there is still a party going on here for the 2024 St. Petersburg Grand Prix, the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Pete. But I think I've shared about everything I want to share. I got people watching me. They're like, "Oh, what's this guy doing?" They're like trying to figure out if I'm like, they're trying to figure out if I'm doing a sports podcast in St. Petersburg talking about Tampa Bay sports, or if I want to catch a predator. Catch a predator. Okay. Saw the numbers jump. So let me go ahead and close with this. I'm really, I'm your brother. Tootsie. If you don't know, you don't know. Um, Baker's our dog in 2024. As much as Emily Mayfield, and trust me, she's going to follow Baker's instincts because it means Baker. It's Ball. Yeah, if Ball's the one paying the bills, and you got to trust Baker and his people. But there are going to be others out there. One thing I've learned with Jason Light since 2014 is that he's not one of these ones that's going to. He may do a plant. You'll hear stuff. You'll hear Rick Stroud, or you'll hear Peter Reporter, or you'll hear Joe Bucks fan pranking something, and you're like, and it ends up being true, and you're like, okay. One thing Jason Light hasn't done is he hasn't been too much to mince words. I do believe that there is a setup out there that says, "Hey, Bucks fans, we're in love with Baker. Baker's the dog. Mike is back. The whole crew's getting back together. Shades of 2020 going into 2021. We're all back." Jason's got to get busy if he wants them all back. As much as I think that's a narrative, we also realize at the end of the day, Baker also knows that 7th year in the league, this is the next contract. This is usually when quarterbacks like a Deshaun Watson or a Joe Burrow or a Patrick Mahomes or even Lamar Jackson drafted, or even actually, this is the big contract. This is the big one. This is the one that sets the tone. Unless you're Kirk Cousins and somehow he continues to set the tone moving forward. I'm at 2 hours. It's not my longest show, but I'm going to get off here in a minute. This is the contract that usually quarterbacks get paid. And I'm not going to try and read into what I don't know, and that being that, Emily and Baker have both decided that Tampa Bay is the place to have their child, start that family. Close enough to Texas, close enough, boom. Close enough over there, Bake. I'm not sure that they've decided that. I'm not going to try to pretend that I know anything about that. But I also know what the Buccaneers organization, the importance they're putting on having a quarterback, having a leader of your team. Even if you're a defensive, strong team, which, by the way, bury the lead, you are. Which is what the defenses win championships. But even if you're a defensively strong team, you're at the same time, you're like going, okay, Big, we got Mike back. We went and got Liam Cohen. Everything's where we want you to continue succeeding. And that's why I will stand to the day I die, or until tomorrow morning when the Mayfield camp announces they sign a contract. I'll stand by the 3 years, $150 million out after 2, respectable incentive clauses to get him there. Because as much as I realize that this is the contract that quarterbacks like Baker Mayfield, especially number 1 overalls, that have suddenly had success, they've had success. They had that success in Cleveland. Like, I can be a dog, but I came into Tampa with Dave Canales. He's like 12 years old, never ran an offense. And I can, look at me. As much as I realize that's a thing, I also realize that Baker realizes that this is a special exception. That, Cleveland kind of screwed him. The Panthers humped him. The Rams just kind of like got on his back and went for a ride. And the Buccaneers gave him that chance. But moving forward, the recipe here in Tampa, regardless of who Atlanta gets as a quarterback, regardless of what Dave Canales is able to get there in Carolina for the Panthers to get better, regardless of what Dennis Allen is able to convince a Derek Carr, or whatever they got going on with the $17 and the bucket of chicken that the Saints have under the cap space. That Baker knows that if he comes back to this Buccaneers team, with this team right here, with these talented players, that he's got his best chance to continue success and move him one year closer to that out after 2 on the 3-year, $150 million. And also, I said $150 million 3-year because everyone's like, that people were DMing me. They're like, that's $50 million a year for 3 years, and you were drawing a line at 30 to 35. Again, incentive laden, bonus, out after 2. That makes it completely palatable. That makes me go, okay, so in 2 years from now, if Baker's still being Baker and Todd Bowles is still building this team and Jason Light is still drafting these dogs that Baker's going to get that $200 million. Forget Deshaun Watson. Forget Joe Burrow. Baker's going to get that big contract. Or in 2 years from now, if Baker's going, Baker Mayfield does great. Everyone loves him. Does kind of crappy. People hate him. He's back to doing great again. It's like that Mayfield cycle. We've all seen it. If that's the case in 2 years, then Jason Licht and the Buccaneers have a chance to go, okay, we're out. But it's going to cost both sides. Jason Licht has to give a nice respectability, a nice big bonus on the front side, because that's what Baker Mayfield deserves as the quarterback, the most important position on a team as made by you guys, the NFL. And then Baker Mayfield has to go say, okay, 2 years from now, I'm still balling enough that you're going to want to suck my cock and give me a $300 million contract, and I'm ready to go. This way, Baker and Emily can have that first child of theirs here in Tampa Bay. I can't believe I said cock and child on the same. But this way, they can stay here and continue to make themselves ingrained in Tampa Bay and be for the Buccaneers, and Bucs fans can latch on to Bake and say, all right, shake and bake, let's go. And one of the biggest things about this week is that I 100%, and I know you guys and girls do, no more comments. You guys, you know as much as I do that Jason Light's probably going. You know what? I got Levante still wants to be here. I got to go Golston. I got to get Wirf's new contract. I want to get this guy. I'm Devin Smith. I know everyone wants to make Devin Smith the Saint, but you know what? The Saints aren't giving that much because they've literally got no money to give. We can keep Devin here another year, give a respectable pay contract, a show and go. I mean, there's things to be done. So we understand that Jason Light's going to Baker Mayfield's camp going, look, we're not going to go Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes. And which makes me think, honestly, guys and girls, I'll ask this comment right here. Right now, free agents. You had to choose. You're starting a team right now. You've got your team together. You have to pick quarterback. Baker Mayfield, Brock Purdy. Maybe I'm just old school, but I'm Baker Mayfield 100% of the time. And you know Brock Purdy's going to get that big contract with Kyle Shanahan and those 49ers. So, you know, at the end of the day, that's why, again, this whole show has been about me explaining why I said 3 years, $150 million, out after 2, incentive-laden contract. It was like, you know, subconsciously, I think for the last month, I've been trying to reason in my head, what does a contract look like that shows Baker the respect that he deserves, right? The number 1 overall pick, the baller, the guy who's a leader in the locker room because he's a baller. What contract lets him continue to show that, you know, hey, this is me, right? Pardon my French. And then also on the Bucs side, what contract continues to show the other players in the locker room or future players that, look, we're going to respect you, Mike Evans. We're going to respect you, Antoine Winfield, with the franchise tag. But yet, we're also going to make sensible decisions because we're not going to be fleeced. We're not going to be like, oh, God, this guy's right. I'm still alive. I have nothing. Oh, I gotta go now. Everyone's working our way back. Look, I think I've made my argument, which is no argument, which was waiting for you guys to make a comment on an argument, but there was none. So I'm gonna go ahead and go to Waffle House, and I will drown my sorrows in like a large, or I'll go find him because he said I will not see a comment. I will go drown my sorrows in some. Just make sure there's no other comments. Oh my God, I'm so sore. Can I leave a shot? Okay. Let me draw closing. Okay. I'm going to put this on my shirt. This is a process. By the way, so we're going back to the Annie story. So I got the seat. I'm 2 rows in back, 5 seats over. I'm in Annie. If you guys weren't watching this entire show, you're so lost right now. I walk up and so I pregame, right? So I'm like, I'm 54 years old. I'm gonna, we're going to see Annie, the Broadway production of Annie at Ruth Eckerd Hall. This is awesome, live theater. But I'm gonna pregame. So I'm like, okay, maybe 3 High Lie. We'll stop over at Sam Ash Music. Let the kids bang on the drum kits for a minute. We play with the keyboards. I love the people at Sam Ash. Shout out to Sam Ash, big sponsor of the Sports Web for so many years, Peter. I'm glad I got the entire show was worth just doing that. Shout out. If you guys guys and girls want to go in and put your hands on an instrument, you want to see what something sounds like, you want the best information, the best operation, you have something you need something for, a speaker, a microphone, a cable, something's not working, some sound, stereo equipment, and more importantly, young ones in the family that are just coming up playing instruments in band, guitars, trumpets, violins. See the people at Sam Ash. So I stopped at Sam Ash before Annie. Kids are inside banging on drum kits. See the numbers go up. You all like this story. And then so I finally arrived at Ruth Eckerd Hall, and I'm driving up, and I'm like, this place is packed. Suddenly I'm realizing, whoa, wait a minute. This is Broadway Annie. These are like, I knew this going in. That's why I was so excited to see the live theater. These are professional actors. These are Broadway actors. But now I'm walking in, and I'm a little beer buzz going, and I'm like, wait a minute, hold on a minute. This is pretty big, and I'm sitting by myself. I'm like lonely guy. But I'm all right at that. I'll take the odds every time on that. I walk in, and my daughter and I go in. So my cousin Erin and the boys sit down, and her daughter and of course Rome, my daughter, and I go to use the restroom. We go back in. We go to our different portals. They were like 2 rows in front, so they're at the portal 10. I'm at portal 11. I walk in, and I'm looking around, and all of a sudden I just walk in the front door, and I walk in the door. I'm like, oh, it's 10,000 mommies and their daughters to see Annie, which is, it's Annie. It's one of the most prolific, one of the best shows of all time, Daddy Warbucks, just, loving the show. And I'm like, wait a minute. I'm that one. Like, there's no 1 + 1. There's no like Ray + 1. It's like, I'm that one guy. And I'm like in the very, very middle, the best seats in the house. I loved them. Loved the show. Never seen Annie. Never seen the Broadway production of Annie from start to finish. I think I dated a girl back in the 80s that was doing the production of Annie over at Northeast. But I went over like, oh, we were there for the entire thing, but I really didn't. Oh, Northeast? And so I walk in, I sit down. So the first thing I do, and I see your numbers jumping, so I know y'all are listening. Man, 2 hours and 16 minutes. This is crazy. Tristan's 2 rows down, 5 seats or 4 seats over. I'm like, Tristan. Now, mind you, they already did that for you theater people. I hope there's at least one of you guys are watching. Mr. Walker. The lights had already been dimmed down and up. 2-minute warning. We're getting ready to start to Austin Lane Walker. Of course, my favorite Gator, but my favorite Hollywood guy. Lights had already been down, so it's starting. So I get inside. I'm 10,000 mommies and their daughters. I'm like, okay, this is Annie. It's awesome. I'm so excited. But I had a buzz. It'd been some edibles, maybe some beer. I think it was beer. And so I go, Tristan, 2 rows down, 3 seats over. My son 5 seats over. I go, Tristan, do you want some popcorn? Because mind you, the lights already dimmed and been blinked. And he looked at me and he just rolled his eyes. He was like, oh. Now, that wasn't going to satiate the mom and her 2 daughters, the 2 12-year-olds to my left here, but that was going to satiate that young couple over here that happened to be theater buffs. And so the lady asked me, oh, your family's 2 rows up and 5 seats over? And I went, yeah. And I said, I was testing Tristan. Because obviously most of the time we go and see movies over at the Studio Movie Grill there in Seminole. And of course you can get popcorn throughout the entire movie. But of course this is theater, right? So the lights go down, lights blink, get your seats, let's go. And when he rolled his eyes, I was able to say that a couple next to me, I was like, oh, well, obviously and he's taking theater. Tristan, I'm going to shout you out here. His first period class there at Osceola High School, Osceola Fundamental High School, is the theater class. So he knows. And I love the fact that when he looked over and he rolled his eyes, and I went to him, I go, he passed the test. Because he knew that I wasn't going to be able to order popcorn after the show started. But that was the way I was able to establish with all the mommies and their daughters that I'm like, I got a family here. They're 2 rows down and 5 seats over, but I'm not, I'm not just here by myself, which shouldn't be a strange thing. But then I realized it is, because people make that a thing. And maybe at the end of the day, we all just need to step back and go, hey,
It's just Broadway Annie traveling around with Deckard Hall, and this is the seat that this guy or girl got, and that's just the way it is. Of course, thanks for joining me out here for a cup of Ray on a Friday night. I'll be here for another hour and a half. I'm gonna do something like the yoga. Oh my god, I'm so sore. St. Pete Grand Prix. I'm gonna go ahead and finish again, please. Okay, let me get this right. Please watch the first 5 laps of the St. Pete Grand Prix, and I'll be honest with you, because I'm always honest with you. After the first 5 laps, I'm flipping the channel. Because it's like we're getting near March Madness. Of course, there's news on the NFL Network. Of course, the family wants to watch a movie, or I'm not even home. Which on Sunday I'll actually be down Disney Springs there in Orlando. But watch the first 5 laps, and if you don't watch it live, tape it and watch it, and look at the significance of having the city of like St. Petersburg on the world stage for the Grand Prix of St. Pete. And what it and how great it and how the city looks, the helicopters and the views from the Bay Area and out by the Dolly Museum and the pier and Albert Whitted Airport and what it means. And then Tampanians take a step back and go, huh, you know what? I'm kind of jealous that the city of St. Petersburg made plans back in the 80s to build a stadium here in 2027. I understand that the Rays are going to get a new stadium, and Stu Sternberg are going to get a new stadium just across the street there. I understand that this is Tampa Bay. It's not just Hillsborough versus Pinellas County, but we're all West Central Florida or the Gulf Coast. But understand the fact that everything that we're getting, we've worked for, just like you guys and girls have worked for over there with Legends Field and the Lightning and the Bucks and, oh God, everything. I mean, just channel side and everything going on over there. That's just the way that's where we're going. We're, trending forward. So, we're continuing to move forward like everyone else. But understand at the end of the day, it's all Tampa Bay, right? Now, I'm not going to lie to you here. I will tell you straight up honestly that when a Rays playoff game goes live from Tropicana Field and you get new people covering the game that haven't covered the game live from St. Petersburg, Florida. It's the Tampa Bay Rays versus the Philadelphia Phillies. That gets my goat, right? That gets me going because goes back to 71. It goes back to the whole Hillsborough versus Pinellas. That goes back to the big brother versus little brother, step brother versus whatever. But I get that. That's local. Keep it tuned here on the Sports Web. Keep it tuned here on A Cup of Ray, and I'll continue to try to give you guys and girls the levity of what exactly that means. I'm not college educated to cover sports broadcasting, but I did sleep at a Holiday Inn last night. But this is not brain science. I got you. Tune in. We got you covered. We're getting a new stadium over there. Eventually a new stadium over there. And eventually after that, the Lightning get a new stadium. The Rowdies are going to be down here rocking it in St. Pete as the city blows up. I'm going to stay live for another minute. A couple people walking by, they're going to drunk. Okay, I'll guarantee you we'll see if okay, so A, they're going to pop in here and say something. B, they're going to continue walking by. But C, and this is the one I guarantee, they will look back to see what I'm talking to because that's 2024. So the Lightning, the Bucks, the Rays, and then Rowdies, right? The 4 Tampa Bay teams. It's a pretty close group. Let me go and get out of here. Oh, I'm so sore. Thanks for joining me. Share the show. God, just like nobody watched. Baker's a buck in 2024. The Rays are still the second best team in the American League East, right? And I know y'all are wanting me to say it's the Baltimore Orioles. It's the New York Yankees. The Yankees are up there. The Rays are going to be having that natural rivalry, which will actually feed into the Yankees fans maybe wanting to come around here again because in the last, half decade, it's been the Rays have been owning the Yankees. They're going to come up again. Unless Boston makes a huge turnaround, they're going to be the 4th place team in the AL East or 5th place behind Toronto, Baltimore, Tampa Bay, and the Yankees. Lightning, stay tuned. I got nothing else. I'm so sore. My back is so bad. This place is so empty. I'm so hungry too. I have no money. Could maybe somebody Venmo me like $3? so sad that when I beg for money, my numbers go up. It's so nice, though. I don't want to leave here. And finally, that homeless lady left. Oh. You know what's funny? Thing I love about this place, St. Pete, it's still the same. I mean, you know, right? I mean, but Tampa's the same too. But, you know, I remember coming down here to the St. Pete Times building with my Spider-Man drawings because I was so into Spider-Man. And I'd come down here and we would submit it to the St. Pete Times building, which is now the Tampa Bay Times, which is now not quite Tampa Bay Times, but, you know, still locking it down. Rick Stroud still locking it down. Mark Topkin still. I mean, let's be honest. These are the benchmarks. These are the guys that are covering your Bucks, covering your Rays. I mean, as much as I like to give love out to the folks over at the iHeart WDAE 95.3. Don't know how long it's all going to be here, you know? Things change so fast these days. I know I'm sounding like my dad now, but it's like, damn, I look buff. Let me do since nobody's around. Like my Tinder page. Somebody's always watching. Things are changing quite fast, right? Yeah, I'm still here, Pete. Give me power. Give me Wi-Fi. Give me a sidewalk. Give me a beer. That'll get me every time. Wait, we have those miniature tacos in a fridge. Oh, I hope they're still there. Okay. So y'all know. Quick history on myself. I'm a Sagittarius. I like long movies, walks on the beach, and that's about it. Sports. I got time to kill. Someone looking out their back window, they're like, that guy's still alive? What the hell? That's the guy that had that shitty show where he's tweeting everybody. That's an earlier reference. So this is the part of the show where I share myself a little bit. I do believe in UFOs. I'm kidding. So I know I lecture a lot. And I always put myself in, oh, if I could, you know, and that's why last week when I went over and did the Dr. Seuss reading over there at Cross Bayou Elementary School there in Pinellas Park, it was such a great thing, right? Because mind you, and I see y'all watching, so I'm gonna share this story for the heck. No comments though. Kindergarten, Cross Bayou Elementary School, 6 paddlings, right? Me, 6 paddling. Dr. McFarland, I mean him, I, and that paddle. We were like simpatico. We had like a thing going, and 6, you know, stupid stuff like throwing a rock at a spider or like running across the playground. Things that, you know, these days they'd probably have me on 3 types of depressants and like 2 types of uppers to try to get me back to where the depressants were taking me. But I mean, I was just a rambunctious kid. Had been back there since then, 1970. So if I was 5 in kindergarten, 74. So first grade, 75, went to Sacred Heart Elementary School. And then once they told me that, you know, things I was getting paddled for over at Cross Bayou, now all I had to do was a Hail Mary and an Our Father. I was like, oh, sign me up. But so the email came across our email chat. They're like, you know, we'd love to have volunteer readers out there for Dr. Seuss Day at Cross Bayou Elementary School. And I'm like, I haven't been there since 1974, literally. So that's like what? 50 years? Jesus Christ, I am so old. I'll own that. T-Crass, I'll own that. But you know you still hit me up. But yeah, so getting to go on campus, and I get there, I get green eggs and ham, right? So I'm like toward the front. I wasn't planning on it, but they're like, "Oh, grab a book you want." I'm like, "Oh." I happened to be right there where the books were. I went, "Oh, green eggs and ham." And then someone else said, "Oh, I love green eggs and ham." I said, "Well, take green eggs and ham." And I got Horton Hears a Who, which is funny because I've actually seen a movie, but don't think I ever quite got the message of Horton Hears a Who, the Dr. Seuss book. So I grab the book, go to the class. Well, someone's getting high as hell. So I'm reading these kindergarten. They bring them all over on a map, on a carpet, and they're attentive. And I'm like, I want to make this like, I don't want to make it ludicrous or like over the top, but I want to eye contact and nonsensical and act out the book. So I read Horton Hears a Who. Didn't realize the story was about no matter how small your voice, being the little who's in Whoville, or no matter how weak you may think that you may not be heard, every voice counts. And say what you feel. And of course, that ends up being a message for Horton Hears a Who. I had the best day. I have no reason why. I have no idea why I started telling the story, other than the fact that it was a great thing to do the Horton Hears a Who. How you doing, brother? I was going fast. But one thing you'll get, well, 100%. The reason why I told you guys the girls first on in the show, the reason why Peter Blake's my ride or die guy, the reason why he's in my sidecar on the left side and sidecar on the right side is still open. Apply here. Because we're going to bring you perspective of local sports that honestly no one else can bring you. And I'm not calling anybody else out. JP Peterson's like 107 years old, been here since the 1930s, but I mean, we've grown up here. Peter and I actually, this was us. This was the Bay Area. This was how we came up. This was our teams. This is why we were so invested. Our dads, our family. The reason why we love this. We live and die with these teams. So we're always going to give you that perspective. And that, boys and girls, is the reason why I got to go. I'm so tired. I'm literally just... I could go to 3 hours. I've done it before. Okay. I am so tired. It was such a hard night. I told you all I pulled something in here. Did I show you my stomach? I mean, look. Wait, let me go to light. Nah, there's nothing there. But yeah, I pulled something in here. And, you get to our age, guys and girls, people I went to school with, you're like, boxes, bags. And all of a sudden you grab one. It's a heavy Texas, and I had to get it to the red belt, which is the left side of blue belt. And I pull it over, and all of a sudden something right in here goes, pop, pop. And I'm like, oh, I forgot I'm an old person. But that, I'm going to give shout out to my brothers and sisters down there, the Teamsters. Union 79 there in Pinellas Park at the UPS Hub, because it was the camaraderie, the working together tonight, the way we all, such a good story. I'm going to go and tell the story anyway, because I'm going to go for 3 hours. Okay, here we go. I got 28 minutes. I'm going to get somebody warmed up. COVID sucked. Newsflash. Couldn't find anybody who wanted to work. Couldn't find anyone that was told they could work. So those of us that we had a special document signed by the state of Florida, signed by the governor, that said that, we're allowed to be on the streets. Although I don't think anybody ever actually got officially pulled over by the cops, unless you were Tom Brady and you were warming up over there in Tampa at the park, which is a great story. Again, legendary story for the history of the Buccaneers. But nobody ever pulled us over. But we had this special document signed by the governor that said we were essential employees because we were shipping, right? Vaccines. We were shipping vaccines. That was the creme de la creme of what we were shipping, the overnight boxes. But everything else, the food for the people that were secluded or safer at home and all that. And we had trouble, just like everyone else in the entire United States of America, hiring people. And it was through those trials and tribulations, right, that we brought people on over time, and they stayed on. Right, the other people washed out. And then just this last season, we had a great group of people. Probably had a lot to do with that big contract that UPS supposedly signed, that basically it pays for that Lambo I'm driving right there. God, as I say that, I hope they haven't towed my Ford Focus. But that contract negotiations in 2023 and the fact that, oh, UPS makes $150,000, which I think we're all still trying to, those of us that work there, especially part-timers, trying to figure out, okay, if you work 5 hours overtime, 365 days a year, and you work 24 hours a day on Christmas, but it brought in a deeper talent pool, which you're going to see it across any job in America, any place else, anything else. So we started bringing in some dogs, some young kids, and that's been a pleasure of mine to work with these younger people that they remind me of me, but 30 years ago, 20 years ago, but they're dogs. And of course, we remember the old adage, UPS hires athletes. That's true, and I'm going to tell you why. Because you got to be in shape, and I'm not even in great shape, but you got to be in shape to be able to, and I'm on a sort aisle, so you do have to be in shape to sling bags, throw boxes, sort, get things to the right of 8 belts. But one of the most important things, and reasons why I love working at UPS for the 12 years I've been there, is because those of us who know somebody who has or did, or a parent or a grandparent or somebody, a friend that works for UPS, they'll tell you that there's a lot of ex-athletes there. And let me tell you why. And I alluded this early in the show, but I'm going to go ahead and wrap it back around to this. No comments at all, really. Is that every night, and this is what I love to tell, this is being a UPS recruitment video. Let me get right centered so maybe I can sell it. Every night, we're problem solvers. Every night, someone else is different unloading a truck. Every night, there's different people working in a different area. Every night, we're getting primary people that move around every night. Even the ones that stay on primary, they move. Primary being the big trucks that come in from all our accounts here in the Bay Area. And then you got Metro, which are all the brown trucks coming back. So you got people moving around. You're never going to get unloaders in the same place twice, consistently unloading the same way. So every night, we're solving problems. Like, how are they unloading? Is it labeled down? Which tonight, by the way, the reason why for this pull in my stomach is because I had someone that kept giving me the dang boxes labeled down. And so that's that group thing. And the reason why you got athletes and people that are able to solve problems and work through these things is, one, you got to get to a point where you get beyond even in your own head, right? You got to forget the fact that you're going to, like I am right now. I am in so much pain, and I continue to talk. And there's only like 63 of you watching. But every night we're working together as a team to figure it out. And it was hard through COVID, getting people, and we had new applicants come in. And, this last season, holiday season, I remember when I started 12 years ago, they were like, oh, you're not going to, you walk on water, right? You could heal the sick. You could turn water into wine, and they're going to let you go Christmas week. And I was like, oh, okay, I accept it, but I still thought I could beat it. And I worked my hardest. And the day after Christmas, I remember going in, I was like, this day I did not want to be there. And Devin, supervisor, goes, oh my God, Ray, I'm so sorry. We didn't call you. We don't need you anymore. And I was like, you do not know how happy you make me. I had something planned with my kids that night. I'm like, oh, this is awesome. Because I have this thing I can do. And I ended up doing it. And I loved it. Again, everything for a reason. And they called me a week later, 2 weeks later. Like, oh, we're going to have to come back. That was a ploy to get me from not getting in the union. I ended up getting in there. How you like me now? But every night we go to battle. And I got some of the best guys and girls that we go to battle with. And so tonight it was funny because I was sitting there and I'm like, I'm so exhausted. I'm getting beat. I'm in position number 1, taking belt 1. And they were hitting me with this, like, the most heaviest E-regs. Maybe they weren't E-regs, but they were so close to 70 pounds. And they were hitting me like constant. I got my boy Mike behind me. Behind me, I got Damien. And I'm like, okay. Because every night you got to show up, right? It's not like you can just like, I work at Dairy Queen. Tonight I'll work the I mean, every night you're showing up. There's no place to hide. But it builds that camaraderie. It builds that team, working together as a team, that not common denominator, but that, working for that same purpose to get all those boxes in, to get them safely sorted into their trucks, and either in trucks on their way out or on the way over to Tampa International Airport to get on an airplane to fly out. Because really, at the end of the day, it's all about, no matter how many boxes, 10 or 10 million, getting them sorted and getting them right. And so every night we're solving problems. And that's a team effort. And it brings me back around to Baker Mayfield. Bucks fans, I say this because I know we're all thinking the same thing. We know the significance of what Baker Mayfield can mean to this Buccaneers team. We've seen it in Liam Cohen. He was with them in L.A. as Dave Canales takes the job in Carolina. But we realize what it means to have a dog in the locker room that has the other guy's trust, to have the other guy. And at this point, I know Jason Light says he has the other options, but really the only option is to get Baker Mayfield re-signed here in Tampa Bay. And then Baker and Emily, your only option is to figure out, because here's the thing, Baker, as much as I want to make that argument for you that you're the guy, as I try to do Jeff Garcia and Mike Lennon and Josh Freeman and Vinny Testaverde and Trent Dilfer and Joe Ferguson and Steve Spurrier and, oh God, Scott Milanovic, dogs and all, Casey Weldon, of course, my guy Craig Erickson. You're the guy for this job right here in Tampa Bay, but it can't be the narrative that Baker, got that big payday. Because even if Jason Light and the Bucks can continue to work that magic to re-sign Tristan and re-sign, get Winfield to agree to a 3 to work it out over and continue manipulating that, even as that, salary cap goes higher every year. I don't want that narrative that you're that selfish guy that needed to get every single dollar. And I don't think you or Emily, or basically you Baker, want that narrative. I hope you don't, because that's the separation. That ends up being the not the chasm, but the moat, if you will, of between Bucks fans and where you are at, is that if that's where you're at, then, good luck in Pittsburgh, or good luck in Atlanta, or good luck in wherever. Because if that's your thinking, that maybe at the end of the day, the reason why this is even news here, in not only in Tampa Bay, but all around the world, is because the country, is because that's the way we feel. It's like, okay, Baker, find a nice, we got Mike, we got, make it nice. We'll be respectable. 3 years, 150 out after 2. Mike Evans, incentive laden, but find a respectable number. Let's get this done. But if your number is going to be too much, then yeah, I would 100% support Jason Light in saying, forget it. It's over. Let go on. Take especially if it's Atlanta. Because I hated the fact the moment that Raheem Morris gets a job in Atlanta, they're like, well, Raheem Morris was out there in LA when Baker was there. And I'm like, he's gonna put a bid in just because he realizes that Baker doesn't want the job in Atlanta. 28-3. I'm kidding. But he's going to put a bid in because he wants to make sure that he runs that number up every dollar he can. Because every dollar he makes the Buccaneers spend on Baker Mayfield's contract is a dollar more they can't spend on retaining the other dogs. And that's as a divisional opponent, I would be remiss. Not really a Leo word, but definition wise, maybe, if you weren't doing that. It's like, run that bitch. If you tell Baker we'll give him $65 million a year and the keys to Atlanta, and let the Bucks match that, and then Jason Light has to match that, and then all of a sudden, 4 years from now, Tristan Wirfs is a left tackle for the Atlanta Falcons. I don't want that to happen. Wait, oh my God, I thought my numbers went up. They actually went down. So I'll go ahead and end it. Happy Friday. Thanks for joining me for a cup of Ray from down here in St. Petersburg on the St. Petersburg Grand Prix weekend. I hope you all enjoy everything you got coming. Seriously, everyone needs to know someone cares this weekend. Be the one that lets them know that you do. And share the show, please, because I am trying to get paid. Have a good weekend, everybody.